It's that constant thing. I think a lot of people out there can probably relate to this. It's that thing of, for me, the biggest problem I found in the last few years is that often you think that you're an entirely selfless person by your ability to put things out of your way in terms of your problems. You think that by being able to bury your problems down deep, that you are someone that is selfless and can look forward. But in reality, what you don't realize is that these problems that you put to the side actually act as obstacles, and that you're just creating more challenges for yourself by not being emotionally combative with yourself. That's something that I realized for sure. I'm Don Jake. I'm the CEO of formerly Ruddy Esports, now Ruddy in the Sack, which is our collaboration with I Will Dominate and Yamato Cannon in the NLC. I'm a creative director. A lot of people might know me for doing interviews, interviewing pro players. Been in and around the UK esports scene for a few years now.
When did you realize that esports was your future?
Future, I definitely was into it. Like, I remember even when I was like 13, I tried to start a Call of Duty team with like my friends. But yeah, no, I kind of knew that would be a thing that you could do, like even back then, because like there was like bedroom walks in the UK. Like I was very aware of that being a thing when I was like 12, 13. But when I got into League, I think when we realized, I don't know, it's been a weird transitional period. Like me, Regan and Harry, we started Ruddy as like a thing of, it's just a joke, but it was kind of like we didn't really care because it was like everyone else was a joke as well. And like, we were like, well, why don't we just get involved in the humor here? Why don't we get involved? And then it slowly but surely became more serious. But I mean, we still don't fully take it serious, but I think that's our advantage. Like,
what was your biggest challenge?
Sort of trying to find a balance between professionalism and being like a mentally ill teenager on the internet who's been overexposed to bad communities and just like living life. You gotta remember, like for me, I did pretty well in school, like I was pretty academically gifted, but there was a certain period of time where like I was mega depressed, and as lots of people who play League, I was just like completely failed a few of my exams, like was playing League every day. Like League had a really negative impact on me in school, and like the more further I propelled into that and used like League as like a medication for the life, you sort of find yourself surrounding yourself with like bad people, and it completely changes the way you think and you communicate and you connect to the world. So I think when I was starting, it was like weirdly kind of a way for me to connect back with the world and kind of move myself more to being a human again, which is it was good. That was probably the biggest challenge for sure.
What sacrifices have you made?
I mean, for sure, a lot of like stability in the moment. Like I think I'm someone that exists in extremes. I think Ruddy does as well. Like I think for anything you can criticize us, as much as we talk brashly and do content that's extremely effervescent and unique that I think no one else can do, it exists in very short bursts. Like we have longitudinal periods of inconsistency, which are entirely down to me. I exist in very much seasonal bursts, sort of like a Walmart or Poundland Vincent van Gogh, in the, you know, burn very brightly for a very brief time and then just completely fade into a kind of burning tar pit, which happened after Worlds most recently. It's that constant thing. I think a lot of people out there can probably relate to this. It's that thing of, for me, the biggest problem I found in the last few years is that often you think that you're an entirely selfless person by your ability to put things out of your way in terms of your problems. You think that by being able to bury your problems down deep, that you are someone that is selfless and can look forward. But in reality, what you don't realize is that these problems that you put to the side actually act as obstacles, and that you're just creating more challenges for yourself by not being emotionally combative with yourself. That's something that I realized for sure.
What does winning feel like to you when your team wins?
It feels amazing, like especially because I feel like, maybe not so much this last split, and that's something I look to rectify throughout the year, but for all the rosters we've ever had, like you can talk to any of my players, like very close emotional connection with all of them. Like especially last year, because they were all so young, like you really do feel like a dad in some ways. Like I'm playing with like players like Natty's like 18, 19 at the time, Alex is like 17, a couple of others are like a little bit older, Bilt's like 19. Like you really feel like, wow, you guys are similar to what I talked about earlier. You guys are in like the same stage of life that I was when I started this, like, where I started like getting into League like 5 years ago.
Who's Don Jake?
Who am I? I think I'm someone that's able to extract the poetry between the lines, and I think I'm someone that is better than yesterday. I think constantly. or try to at least. And sometimes I might be worse than last week, but I can be better than yesterday most days. I'm someone that can tell you that he's made fuck ups, and that's why I'm able to give perspective. And I'm someone that wants to shake up things, and I don't mind being a villain. I don't mind being annoying. I don't mind being a foil, so to speak. Because there's gaps. There's a lot of gaps, and I don't mind filling them because I know what it feels like to live with gaps.
Thank you so much, Don.
No worries.
got it.
Cheers.
I hope you had everything that you wanted.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you so much. That was fun.
Welcome to Arozzi Northern League of Legends Championship. My name is not Alexander Archeromaya. I am Solari and I will be your host today while our beloved Archerom is taking some time off somewhere on a beautiful island in Portugal. But we have some really important stuff to take care of today. We have some ties to break. We have some tiebreakers for Group B because yesterday's action, as explosive as it was just not enough and we need to see a little bit more out of these teams. But I'm not going to be taking you through this day alone. Of course, I have my lovely desk with me today, Travel Inc. and Jamada. Welcome to the show yet again. Lovely to see you here, guys. How are you feeling today?
No way! No way! I'm taking the mic.
Trouble.
It's awesome to be here. Hey, look, it's not every day you get tiebreakers. I suppose this year we've had tiebreakers in both splits. We were one game away yesterday from the fated 5-way tie, which would have been hilarious. But instead, we are unfortunately, or very fortunately, we have more games. 3 tiebreakers away to find out how Group B is going to sit.
You know what? All I'm going to say is that some things change. Sat as our host. Some things remain the same. Sat as me, obviously, being completely and utterly unable to press one button to unmute myself. But I'm happy to be here nonetheless.
Thank you, Trouble. Please never change. We love you the way you are and your microphone as well. But you know what else we love? We love our Group B because it has been explosive so far. But we need to have a look at how it looks right now. So we have Bulldog Esports who have already locked themselves the first place. We know they're going into the playoffs. They do not need to play today. Same for Linguist Lightside, but that's with a little bit of a sadder note here. They have locked themselves a 5th place. However, the Radisak, DMG Esports, and Nord Esports are the 3 teams that we are going to be watching today.
And you know what? This was the funniest timeline because the Radisak, at the beginning of yesterday, we talked about them and we're like, wow, they look like the clear favorites. Little Jenny from Gossip Girl actually went back to her real roots from Brooklyn, bringing in all the academy players, building a roster through raw talent. They did great in week 1 and suddenly week 2, nothing clicked. They just could not get priority through lanes. They could not get vision around neutral objectives, and it just felt like they constantly kept running into fog of war to try and contest things that were completely out of their vision control.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Radisak,
just a bit too uncoordinated
yes.
by the end of it. And I think the Rizal, in particular, at the end was the proverbial nail in the coffin to have them land in these tiebreakers.
The race ultimate was definitely worthy of a clip of a content if that is what the team was going for, but unfortunately their performance on the week number 2 compared to week number 1 was a very different team, and we're yet to see more from them today because they're going to have to play 2 games today, just as every team that is going into the tiebreakers. Best of 1 for each of them. But with that said, whoever is winning today and whoever is losing today, honestly, as well, is going to go into the playoffs. Can we please have a look at the bracket for the playoffs just to understand where we're going to be landing as the result of today? Here's production, I'm looking at you. Thank you so much, Smurfing, as usual. So we have Group A already sitting very nicely and cozily in this playoff bracket, and today's teams are going to be joining in the TBD places today. But remember that the loser bracket is still a real thing. We already have the Reach Gang and Linguist Lightside sitting there, but somebody who's going to be losing their first games starting next week is going to be falling into there. And then once you lose in the losers bracket, as Artrom always says, you're going to be promoted to the viewer.
So, I'm looking at this bracket, and what I'm thinking about is that we already had solidified the first place in that group, Bulldog Esports.
Yeah.
We already solidified the last place in this group, which was LLS, which, by the way, they almost pulled a funny on us on that last game and gave us 5 games instead of 3 today. However, every other team, I felt like turned it around. And I want to put, like, our sights on Nord this time around because they had bad week 1, and also Jankos losing to Radisak in that last game in week 1 must have hurt a lot.
It felt personal with the Judas, as they like to call him these days. But when it comes to Nord, you gotta remember that they're still playing with a little bit of a changed roster, because yesterday we had Zviro joining them on the mid lane, who has already played with Jankos before. He is still, by the way, going to be playing with the team today, so hopefully some more highlights from this duo are going to come in. Can we actually have a little look at how the teams are performing yesterday? Because I feel like there is so much to remember from there. especially if we talk about the other teams that we have today, because we talked a little bit about Radisak, we talked a little bit about Nord. What do we think about DMG? Because they, as the others, also have 2 games to play. What do we expect from them? Greatness,
hopefully. I mean, for me, the man that I'm looking at on DMG is the mid laner, right? I want to see DMG play around this. Like, for me, DMG have been very up down. Obviously, they're here in tiebreakers, right? But from last split, seeing Bizgar's performances be kind of the man on the sinking ship, right? Is the best way to put it. He has looked mostly fantastic so far, despite the now 2-2 performances. I want to see DMG build out and play around him. Dandom has been a very, very proactive jungler, and I think that is the best version of this DMG lineup when they are playing around Bizgar.
Yeah, and I feel like when Dandom also first joined the team, we're like, okay, he's a brand new rookie coming through with a plethora of different champion playstyles. Not even just champion. There was like even a Diana and a Javan thrown in there. And we're just wondering how he was going to slot into this team. But I particularly want to say I'm a huge fan of the way they played the first game yesterday versus Radisak. Very slow, very calculated, front to back. They pretty much hugged the virus with every single ability and champion that they chose to put in that composition. And I feel like they completely countered what Radisak wanted to do in that game number 1. Yes, they would just go full in, fist fight early on. They just give them 0 of that chance. And they played it very slow, textbook calculated through objectives and words.
That happened, but that did happen yesterday, and today we have the whole day of action ahead of us. It's going to be a shorter day than some of us hoped yesterday, looking at you ducklings sitting back at home. But today we have 3 games to play. Nord and Radisak are going to be opening the day today with game number 1, then Radisak immediately jump into game number 2, playing against DMG. And to wrap it all up, Nord are going to be playing the last game of the day versus DMG. This is a best of 1. So remember, if we have any additional tiebreakers as the result of the tiebreaker day, whoever has a faster game is going to be on top. So the faster you finish your game, the faster you lose or win your game, it actually matters today.
Sorry, Jamada. I actually have a better idea. Tiebreakers for the tiebreakers. Who's with me?
Oh no! I mean, God forbid. I mean,
oh yes, I like
we're
it.
here already.
It would be pretty funny. There is, like Solari was alluding to, there is the funny situation where, as this is a best of 1, you 1 round robin. We could just end up with 1-1-1 on everyone. It is super plausible. So I guess much like we were kind of waiting for the Doctor Strange 1 in 16 million chances, we'll be waiting for the significantly less than 16 million in 1 chances here to get ourselves less tiebreakers, because we can't do any more, decided by, of course, the win time.
There is some more things to be looking forward to and waiting for, but the biggest one that you should be marking in your calendar is going to be the League's Disrupt. The NLC finals are going to be taking place on the 31st of May and 1st of June in Copenhagen, Denmark, and we have a lot of attraction prepared for you guys. We're going to have some live music playing on the venue, the meet and greets with your favorite streamers and players, and so much more. You can't even imagine. The tickets should be available very soon, so go to the website, scan this QR code that you have on your screens right now. Go on and join us, please. We'll be looking forward to seeing you there.
And just as a little bit of more of an explainer, this is not your classic you rock up at the arena, just watch the game and go.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be, as Solari mentioned, so much more happening. Music, events, meet and greets. You can have so much fun around the venue as well. So it's like a whole pretty much... It feels kind of like a music festival kind of type of thing, where there's just so many different things happening, and semis and grand finals. What else can you ask for?
Honestly, nothing. That is more than I could have ever asked for. I don't know about you guys at home, but make sure you'll be joining us. But before that, before we get there, we need to go through some more matches and tiebreakers. Nord versus Radisak is yet again going to be the first match of the day for us. Trouble, Jamada, please take me through this. What do we expect from these teams?
Ooh, actually, I just want to start with what happened last time these teams actually met. I feel like Jankos was on Sejuani, and by the time he had finished his first clear, both his laners had just died. Both bot lane and top lane had died. And what do you do when you're on Sejuani? Now, seeing as Vero has come in and as a substitute, we had our questions. How's he going to slot in? But my guy has been lane kingdom the entire day yesterday, and it feels like that gave Jankos so much freedom to play around the map.
I think the important thing, looking at it from the Ruddy perspective, is that they're just a bit more decisive and playing on the same page. I think throughout the entirety of yesterday, in particular, of course, going 0-2, you're going to see a lot more weaknesses come out of a team, as we're here in Champ Select already, was things like Nainat walking into the jungle, kind of in isolation, off-tempo of the rest of his team. Things like the Rise ult to bring it up, back up again, the side lane picks onto Gaethan. These guys need to make sure that they're passing information along, making informed decisions. Seems like maybe we were in that lobby a little bit earlier than we were meant to be.
It was a preview, don't worry.
It was a prank.
Yeah, preview. I'm sure we'll get the Champ Select rolling in just a moment when it's ready. But yeah, to me, it's all about the coordination and just simplicity. I think after a day like yesterday, especially after going 2-0 in your first week, just kind of assessing what happened and going, all right, let's roll back some of the more complicated issues of perhaps the way that our draft functioned. Let's just, as the old acronym goes, keep it simple.
So that is an interesting case scenario, because we have a team that went 2-0 in their week number 1 and then completely changed the things around. And then we have absolutely the opposite situation on the other side of the map with a team that had a fantastic week number 1 and then going very tragically in the week number 2.
Quick subtweeting them. Quick subtweeting them. Roll their names. Roll their names.
Come on, we all know who they are. It's 2-2 either way for both of them, and that is what matters right here, right now. Let's forget what happened in the past, even though it happened just a couple hours ago for some of us. Let's see what the draft is bringing to us, because we're starting high today with 2 bans already against Narinat.
Yeah, it's just every single game. No one wants to let him get Mundo. I get that. Banning the Rengar, I still feel like is crazy. Maybe he would play it, and I feel like out of anyone on this lineup, you know, Naina is probably the most, not volatile, but he rides the most off of confidence, right? So if you give him something like a Rengar, maybe he runs away with it. It's obviously also a champion that many people don't scrim against basically ever, right? When's the last time you saw a Rengar in pro play? Maybe if you're watching the LPL, right? Is about it.
Ooh, we might have some OPs open right here. Gwen open, Nafiri open. Natinat has showed Nafiri as well in the NLC. As Chachi, is this going to take that Gwen away? I'm assuming it's going to be Chachi. Natinat has played that Gwen jungle. We've seen Velia play Gwen jungle as well. But I will assume that Chachi is going to take that one in the top lane.
Yeah, that'll be the best assumption.
Yeah. Could be still a surprise from Jankos, though. You never know this guy.
Yeah, you never really do. Skarner being hovered, I do suspect Nainat will take it. Had a bit of a bumpy-ish performance on the Skarner the last time he was on it, though maybe the Nord composition is a little bit easier to play into for him this time around. The Jace is also up and available, which has been a pretty consistent answer, and lane answer rather, into the Gwen, though of course it can also flex, right? And maybe you look for something else towards the top side. ADs are also still widely available. Only the Varus was banned away from the pool, so things like the Ezreal, things like the Misfortune, still there and present if Ruddysack want to go towards a slightly more potent pick. But no, they're gonna answer out the Gwen very early on with Gaethan's Fiora. We saw this, I want to say it was the first
Week
game
1
of this Ruddysack's run with Gaethan.
Second. Yes,
we'll see.
Second game.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, you know, Nord had the opportunity to flex this Gwen out of the top lane and potentially get a pretty decent counter pick into it. We will check and see if that will be the case here with Nord as they lock in the Poppy.
Yeah,
Do you want to move her now?
Yeah, they probably assume that. We probably assume that this Poppy is going to end up going into the jungle. Pretty good flex as a support as well. However, I feel like it gives a lot of value in the jungle, specifically in terms of like setting up ganks as well. And the Corki, who's also another flex on that side. However, we have primarily been seeing it hover towards the bot side of the map recently. It is a pretty good champion to shove in that mid lane. If the Rihanna gets locked in right here, I wouldn't even be surprised if Zvero just holds on to it in the mid lane.
So we have some of the lanes already open to us, but for Nord, there are still so many question marks, because you look at this Poppy, and you look at the same time at VZ, Chachi, Jankos, and Nash, and then the question of Gwen, where exactly she is going to go, is still very open to us. And with so much uncertainty, what do Ruddysack want to ban now?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like Engage is probably the way to go. If you have things like the Fiora and you're going to be relying on side lane, depending on how hard you're going to lean into it, you wouldn't like Nord to have a bunch of hard engage options, but for the time being, they're going to remove away Inax's Ezreal. By the numbers, had a very, very strong run of it yesterday, but again, kind of away from what I was definitely expecting, and now Nord can probably look to ban away. I mean, they know they want to engage, so they're removing away the Braum.
Call me crazy here, but what if I told you that there's no way someone picks up Poppy in a Chachi team, but not Chachi? It's actually pretty
Thank
good
you,
into
Trouble.
Fiora, stops her from proccing the heal as well with the W. So it could potentially be Chachi pulling that Poppy up top and having Gwen in the juggle. Again, it has been popping up recently. Has been chipped a little bit on the nerfs as well, but still pretty decent as we have seen. And now the question mark here is with the Ezreal, which is a weird ban right here. They are expecting indeed that Corki to go mid lane into the Orianna. Ezreal, Kalista banned away. You still have things like, mentioned previously, the Misfortune plus the Jhin. I feel like Jhin with Fiora would mesh so nicely.
That'll be my best guess with the double AD bans, but again, it does have me scratching my head a little bit. Ruddysack have the options to kind of do whatever they want with their bot lane, especially if they're going to be able to lock in their AD here, and if it's something like this Misfortune, good matchups into most of the pool that's left up and available, and then you also get counterpick on the support role, so you're almost guaranteed bot lane prior with that. They swap over to the Kai'Sa, and I mean, look, if Inax goes something like, I mean, Inax is a Draven player. Like, that guy used to play Draven back in the day, as an example. If you want to play a lane build as this, I mean, the Misfortune was right there. There's plenty of answers into this Kai'Sa and into some of the potential dive options that Ruddysack could look for out of Marlon.
I'm just very worried here because I'm looking at Ruddysack and I'm like, that's front to back. Let Fiora roam free in the team fight or on a side lane, and then you go Skarner, Orianna. A bullet time would have been so beautiful on top of the wombo combo. A curtain call would have been so beautiful in the wombo combo. Rather than you're choosing to dive into a pretty, what it looks like right now, a heavy anti-dive comp. The Rakan, the Talia, the Poppy can stop even the Kai'Sa R from going through to the backline as well. So I don't know, man. We have seen some questionable Kaisers right here. I don't think this Kai'Sa's going to have a lot of fun down the bot lane, specifically into that Corki.
I think especially if it's looking to go like an on-hit variation, which is almost kind of a guarantee here at this point with the way that the composition lines up. I mean, hey, if Nat decides to go some kind of hybrid poke-ish build, then maybe it works, but we just never really see it frequently, as Alistar seems like it's going to be the choice of support for Marlon, and it rounds out the comp fairly well, right? It's pretty well rounded. You've got frontline, you've got front to back, you've got space creation between the Skarner and the Orianna, and then the side lane threat from Fiora. But my big issue really for Ruddysack is the comp kind of does a bit of everything, but nothing particularly super well, whereas on the opposite side for Nord, it's got two very clear modes of option, and you've got your hands up because you called out the Poppy top. I don't think it's as good as a matchup as you might think at first. There's quite a few ways to play around it with like the QW buffer. The lane might be a little bit painful, but at the end of the day, Fiora will still outscale the side lane. It's still going to be a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, absolutely. And you still have repost as well to not be set up for ganks as well. However, again, I said it once, I'll say it again, there is no way someone picks Poppy in a Chachi team and Chachi doesn't hold that champ in his hands.
Yes, thank you so much, Trouble, for reminding us to have some respect towards Vizichachi and his Poppy. But before we go, very quickly, give me the name. Who is winning this one?
Ooh, I'm gonna give it to Nord. I like the adaptation right here with the Poppy and the Gwen.
I'm giving it to Nord because...
Okay. 2-0
You know
Nord.
why.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you very much. And let's go into the game because we have no time to spare anymore. Foxdrop, sorry, and Initialize. The boys, take it away from us.
I feel that perhaps Jamada should say exactly why he's voting for Nord. You know, maybe I think he might have some ulterior motives, Foxy. What do you think?
Well, I am Jamada, apparently, so I will tell you what my motives are.
Tell me your inner thoughts, Jamada.
My inner thoughts are that I just think that Zyra is cracked, and therein lies the be-all and end-all of all of my thoughts. Nah, he was so good yesterday, honestly, wasn't he? Like, and on a pick like Talia, like, it gives him a lot of agency to move around the map, to play with his team, to set up his team, and that facilitates godlike performances from people like Inax, who also was really good yesterday. Yeah, so, yeah.
I think that's fair. On the other side for Nord, you still got things like Gaithan on that Fiora, which he had an incredible game the last time out against Nord. You've got a Kai'Sa in for Nata. If you can get to the mid game, we've seen some pretty wild Kai'Sa games around the world right now. She's feeling like she's really back in meta. All over the LPL, LCK, see whether they can do that there as well. But you heard the desk, and I think we both agree with this one. It feels like Nord's composition is a little bit more focused, maybe. They kind of know exactly what they all want to do, and it all works together in a way that Ruddy's kind of does a lot of things, but not quite as well at any one of those things.
Yeah, I agree with you, to be honest. Like, it's very well-rounded, Ruddy's sack. So, to be honest, this is what Jamada said, actually, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it's me, obviously. But it doesn't necessarily have, like, the greatest, like, pop-out, members or anything like that. Maybe Fiora and getting, like, mega scaling and some big kind of jump-in, diving stuff with Kai'Sa. But it just feels like Nord does have that little bit of an extra edge in their team comp, for sure.
So it works. Of course, Yankos not on Sejuani duty. He's on the Gwongle as well. There's been some rumors about that happening in short issues. Sorry, in a roundabout. I got confused because I realized there were technical issues as well, and so conflated two sentences into short issues. I'm hoping the issues are short. I'm down for a 40-minute podcast with you, Foxy, but I'm praying we don't get there. Last time we ended up in that position, I was wearing multiple headphones by the time it was done, and I want to avoid that scenario again. That was...
Yeah.
A bit much.
So run me through that again, because you had connected one to your phone, right? That's right. If you missed yesterday, it was a delight. So please do take it away.
So basically what happened is Discord died in general. Like, they had massive issues. Discord died. No one could connect to anything. And it came back on my phone and not on my PC. So I could join the voice call, which is how I'm talking to Foxy and stuff right now, on Discord, which was great. But I had to do that by getting on my phone. So I got the headphones on for Discord, but I still need to be able to hear the game, so that's what was in the other headphones. I'm just using one headphone a piece for the different things. We are onto the Rift, and I have avoided, thankfully, too long a technical delay. Of course, it's all in my power as the person with the button to start the game, and I've done just that.
Well done. Thank you, finally.
You're so welcome.
For starting the game up. Shazer yesterday, there was a bit of a... Woof. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on yesterday, but I came back from quite a long day, and you guys hadn't even started the last game, and I was like, what the heck is going on here, man? Something has very much broken.
Nathan, I'm going to find Poppy here, but so is Vero here. What's he started with? Started with a threaded volley, so no shove back, but a chunk onto the Fiora well before anything like lane, and of course, with it being past that minute mark, just going to have to deal with that chunk. Vero's still here. A lunge away. So can't look for that vital proc, and this Fiora going to start off with a decent little health chunk discrepancy, and now that buckler comes out to keep it knocked down before the wave even gets here.
I think this was quite a smart adaptation to put Vizichachi on Poppy, because this is a rematch, right? Nord have already played Ruddy Sack, and this top lane matchup with this Gwen first pick, we already saw that, right? Well, we saw Gwen into Fiora. Now, I actually feel like Chachi was just all over Gethin in that game, like actually all over him, and Chachi was getting camped as well by Natty Nat. It wasn't pretty for him, but he was, yeah, he actually, just, despite getting ganked all the time, was still putting pressure on Gethin. Having said that, this Poppy pick you just cannot not give to Chachi, right? It is synonymous with him. And it does mean that he should be able to have a little bit more impact as the game goes on, because we did see, despite Chachi having such a good lane phase and still being able to put lots of pressure down on Gethin, he wasn't able to contribute to those team fights. But a champion like Poppy, much better at doing that, especially in the hands of Chachi.
So, Poppy is Chachi's third most played champion of all time, guys. He's got 47, this will be 48 games on the champion. He's put a lot of time into this. What do you think his win rate is?
Oh,
Foxy.
I'm going to say 82.5%.
Ooh, a little bit way up. But 63.8 is not bad over 47 on game.
That's really good. Yeah, mine was astronomically high as a guess, but
but he's got one champion. And that is Jax's 83% win rate in 6 games. Not bad going.
Yeah, definitely not a sample size issue on that one at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's slightly different.
Yeah, the thing is that with this number, his games played, would be higher if it wasn't permabanned against him, right? I mean,
Oh,
just
God,
look
yeah.
at this dude. Oh, that's
Oh my
it.
days.
He's just so good on this champion, man. And it's such a tough matchup. Those dashes, the Qs for Fiora. So hard with the steadfast presence that's coming through and really just making things difficult. You got to get that early bramble on Poppy, but once that happens, you're all sorted.
Really is. And again, Nat looking for an engage. We'll stop musing about Poppy. Instead of looking for the engage, it's Marlon with a big two-man pulverize. Nat not coming on over. Supercharger and Yankos just about to fight for a second, but the Hallow Mist means nothing. Out of that graveyard, he'll find himself. Inax trying to run out to safety. Gets the barrier down. Peng using the clockwork. Why not trying to buy time? It's going to be very damn close. Just about survives for now. Won that 1v1. Nash with the grand entrance gets that back. But Zvero here, headbutted away. Tries to get a shield, but it will not be enough. But now Nash will be a great wailing and gnashing of teeth in the jungle. As Nata picks him up as well. Ruddy Zack suddenly 4-2.
4 kills up to 2. Okay, nice start here for the Ruddy Sack. Great engage from Marlon though, right? That flash, headbutt, pulve combo, catching 2 out of position. It's an easy follow-up from that point. Imagine how disastrous that fight would have been if Peng was level 6, right? If this happened like 5 minutes later and we could have shockwaved on top of that. Oof, that would have been gross. The fact that it was already as gross as it was is just great start here for Ruddy Sack.
Really was. And then of course, now in this position where they've got that martial mastery, feats of strength, you've got a kill on this. Skarner early on, the Kai'Sa set up for Cess, didn't even have to blow any summoners to get involved here. Let's have a look again, because it was utter madness.
Look at this, it's the flash WQ from Marlon to set all of this up. And Nat's a man on a mission as well. Like, even when he's got blinking health bars, doesn't even try and run away. Understands there's Zyru behind him, so he's chilling and just setting it up. But Nata, at the end of the day here, the Kai'Sa on the right-hand side of your screen, despite everything happening, he's the main beneficiary of this play because he just gets to mop it all up. And that's precisely what you want to have for your ADC early on. 1, 0, and 2 with a pickaxe on his first reset. Still finding himself pretty struggling a lot in that CS total. He's 20 CS down. Woof. But a lot of that's just with the wave position when that play started.
Should get cleaned up a little bit here. Exactly how it plays out. Again, part of that's also just the roam. Seeded a little bit of that wave to come and get involved. And hey, got you a kill, got you a couple assists, and that's not a bad place to be. And gets you through some of that early game, which Kai'Sa can sometimes struggle with just a little bit into people like Corki. Can be a bit of a lane bully, especially early on with the base damages on things like the Foss Bomb and the Gatling Gun and all those things. So keeps us in a position where Ruddy Sack 500 gold ahead. It's a good start for them. They want to convert that into a big old mid game. Nord kind of left reeling after blowing a lot of summoners there. Just look at their lack of flashes. Not like Ruddy Sack blew anywhere near as many. Ignite now back up as well on Marlon as Natinap will claim up this first dragon. And in the picture-in-picture, thank you very much, production, we can see Yankos claiming the grubs for his squad.
Just trader objectives here. Standard handshake. Gwen's going to be very happy with this anyway. She wants to chill and farm early, and her AoE with a snip on that Q. Definitely something that leans her more towards a grub play. So there's going to be just a handshake, as we mentioned. And I do think, like, the value of getting these grubs early for Nord is pretty high. Just a deny to take away from Fiora as this game goes on. Here's the engage.
Shockwave on themselves. The Sombrero buys some time, but there's a seismic shove afterwards, and the Needles help Vero pick up a kill there onto Peng.
Wow. Pulling the trigger. No hesitation right there from Talia and Gwen. I saw that play. I'm like, well, Gwen doesn't have the best setup, and Talia's kind of far away, but holy moly. Let's just send it and catch Peng. Got no flash. Well punished right there from Nord.
Absolutely is. Inax will be heading towards this bot side. Test there on screen, and Nord get themselves an extra kill. That's good news, and it evens up the gold again. We were hoping for a bloodbath today between these two teams. Another bit of a rematch between Yankos and his former squad. All of the Judas memes and all of that kind of banter that's been flying about between the squads and the players has been pretty delicious to watch, and this will be a potentially very, very important decider. Of course, yes, you get to play one more game, but you're wanting to avoid tie-breaking on game time. You wanted to just make sure you are the second place team in the group and don't have to deal with something like a loss for Tones in your first round of playoffs, which would kind of suck, not gonna lie.
Just a tad. Yeah, that would be difficult. And plus, like, you know, if you get stuck into that loser side of the bracket as well, like the lower stage, Yeah, you kind of lose your safety net, right? Like if you're in the lower stage and you lose, you're out. That's it, you're donezo. But at least if you start topside, then you do have the advantage of being able to lose a best of before being completely knocked out. That's what these teams here. I mean, actually, we're not playing for that at all because Lightside was locked into bot for Group B, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I'm chatting a lot of rubbish here. But either way, Marlon, that's no rubbish there.
Ooh, there's the double knock-up with Chachi flying on in. Shove away. Natty now in trouble. Doesn't use the ult quite yet. Now does. Decent Bell. Shockwave up throw to 3. But the turnaround just thought they don't have enough damage. Natty flashes away. You'll never know. Flying to Diamond Gator now here. Has roamed on down. Looking to get the damage on it as Chachi. Slowed and surely taken down. The grand challenge is enough. Yankos running away. Has some scissors to his name, but you shouldn't be running with those. And Nata picks up a double to Gaithan. And Ruddy Sack in these bigger fights coming out on top.
Gethin with the heroic roam all the way from topside to get to that play. And Nata, he was actually really late to it, but he tagged someone with the Void Seeker. Able to just jump in with his ultimate after that as well. Nicely done from Ruddy Sack. Really punishing Nord here and paying my Jesus. Nord really want to hunt this guy down.
Yeah, no.
Holy moly.
He really want his head.
A lot of focus being put into the mid side here, so I just really, this comes down to a numbers game. Look at topside on the minimap, right? Gethin, he just hauls it. He just runs with his cleats all the way from top to join this play. Like, it starts out really good for Nord, and that's because it's 4 versus 3, right? But then Gethin gets here. Nat is still not around, but watch him. He'll be joining the play in about 10 seconds time. He's far away, but boom, the W, ulti, boof, and then the flash on the ground end, or the knock-up. Like, yeah, that's it. It was well played, and again, just numbers, because Inax, he stayed topside.
And he did. The roam down comes on through. Now there's Fiora 2-0. There's Kai'Sa 2-0. The gold lead back in Ruddy Sack's favor. We've got Grub spawning in 15 seconds, basically, as soon as we come out of this replay. Doesn't look like Ruddy Sack wanting to play around them necessarily, though, as I don't think they're necessarily set up as well as they would like to be for it. Chachi has gone for a bit of proxy farming, and Peng decides to run at him and say, no, you don't. Dragon also, in about 50 seconds, would be second for Ruddy Sack if they can get towards it. So I think some decisions to be made by both squads about which objectives they want to favor.
I did say it before, the value of these grabs is kind of high because there's a Fiora in the game, right? So we'll see if Ruddy Sack actually want to try and get their hands on some of these. It doesn't look like that's going to be the decision right now because, yeah, the timers are a little bit off. So decision making isn't that important right now. Peng has no flash. Can he dodge the shove? No, he can't. He's going to be put 6 feet under here as well.
Yeah, Keeper's Verdict comes on through. Gets a decent command attack protect. Trying to buy some time, but can't land the additional command attack onto Zvero, which might have threatened him. And so they get that kill, but it does mean there's no one around these grubs, but Ruddy aren't taking them. They're setting up around this bot side as well. They want to play for that dragon.
Yeah, they took one and then ran bot side. So I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, you can take... Oh, here we go. Gethin's found Yankos.
Grand challenge comes on down. A lot of grandness in this game with the grand entrance as well from the Rakan. By the way, you got that right when you were doing the replay. You second-guessed yourself, Fox. You should have believed
grand entrance, yeah. It just sounds like an ability that should be an ultimate. Do you know what I mean?
It was heroic entrance from Galio. Is that?
That
so
might be it, yeah. Yeah, that
so
might
when you
be
get Rakan Galio, you've got to second-guess yourself all the time. Been there a lot, many times.
Yeah, that's fair. It sounds quite imposing. A grand entrance. It's only a W. It's a basic ability. It should just be called entrance. You know? Because W's is entrance. What's his Q called?
Look, it's a Gleaming Quill.
Okay, Quill. Boom. What's his E called?
Battle Dance.
Okay, dance. Sorted. Quill, entrance, dance, and then you get... Well, yeah, wait, but it's always called quickness, no?
Yes.
No, that should be the...
It gets a capitalized
gleaming battle quickness. That's what that should be.
A grand gleaming battle quickness.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
The next time I see Ricardo, that's what we'll call it. We'll try.
Oh, honestly, right, really dropped the ball on that one. But hey, it's all good. Don't worry, Rito. I got your back. We can have that one for free. There's only 150 other champs to work on in the meantime.
Oh, absolutely. All I'm saying is, guys, if you need an extra game designer, a narrative guy out there, Foxy's got you as naming center. Second to none.
Thanks, mate. This is the downside of leaving, just taking one grub and leaving the other
Indeed.
2 up. You do deny the feat, right? The objective feat by taking all 3 of them, but you're not taking away the magic number to spawn those Grublies in the split push. So that is 5 for Nord. To be fair, I mean, this is always the hot debate, right? Like, is Grubs more valuable, or is Dragon more valuable as an objective? I feel like, I don't know, I'd rather have Dragon stacking, to be fair. Like, Soul, really, really good, right? But it's definitely that asterisk of, at this point, I'd say maybe 5 Grubs is better than just 2 Dragons. But the potential to turn those Dragons into the Soul, into the Dragon stack, that's where that true value lies. So we'll have to see as the game goes on whether or not it's been worth it here for Ruddy Sack.
I agree. I think Grubs often feel like a win more kind of objective. They help you snowball harder. And they require you to be able to hit turrets. And if you're kind of permanently shoved under lanes or having a rough time setting up around objectives, you don't get to use them that freely. Whereas Dragon's just always useful in a Soul win condition. Is that, right? It's a win con. That's what Ruddy Sack decided they'd rather play around in this game. That 1 Grub and then ran straight towards the bot side, as we saw. Got 2.5 minutes until Ocean coming up as Inax charged into a wall there, into the Impale. He's just dead!
Wow.
A casual drive-by from Natty and they pick him up.
Yeah, Valkyrie out, flash up, doesn't really expect it. He's caught. Ooh, that's another good engage here. Gethin's in
Nice
trouble.
shot, though. Gets to riposte off for a second, but I don't think he's got anywhere to go. Flashes for a second. There'll be another set of needles, you have to imagine. Ghost is running. Does he have another leash? Nope, he doesn't. And Jankos gets to run at him with the additional move speed and bring down the Fiora.
Okay, first turret blood is still available. You'd imagine it's going down bot here, as Chachi already did a lot of work onto that. There we go. We'll trade bot tier 1 for potentially top tier 1. Though that's still pretty healthy and there aren't any members of Nord to defend. Nata has to flash. If you're walking away from that. What else do Nord get for ignoring topside? Looks like they might make it work on this mid down.
I feel like every time Nata has flash up, he's running mid and using it to blow the flash around just sat there at the same time.
Someone mid lane itself has just been such a focus for Nord. Like, it doesn't matter who's in it. At first I thought it was Peng that was just the target of Nord's ire, but apparently it doesn't matter who's there. Nord is going to throw everything into it and blow those flashes on the engages. And I think honestly losing your flashes as an asset is quite a big deal as far as Nord is concerned, because he's rich. You know, he's powerful. He's almost on 2 items already.
Here's Chachi now potentially in danger, going to get driven at with the Excel's impact. Doesn't have that much damage onto him. This Poppy at this point with the Hollow Radiance. And the Warden's Mail feeling pretty damn tanky into all comers right now. Gaithan, though, about to be ganked again by Jankos, who just hit level 11, throws down the smite. Gaithan will lunge away, get that auto off. Still has the needlework running at him, though. And there's no tower to work with. Will finally riposte. But Jankos holds the needles. Gets a second kill in as many minutes onto this Fiora.
Jankos getting those kills will be important. Obviously, for Gwen, you get that first Snatcher's Tooth into the Riftmaker. But Zonya's quite often comes through as a 3rd item. If you want to be able to teamfight, if you want to be able to put some pressure down, then you really are quite old. Oh my goodness, that is perfectly timed for
Things in
Zyru.
danger! Hang on, that's his hit now with the ult himself. The killer instinct puts Nash in danger. Now an engage from Marlon. The Weaver's Wall interrupted as a result. They've killed off the Gwen. Zara needs to flash away, but there's still slow skimming on through teleports now flying as Marlon with the ult popped. Gonna try and trade this one out. Fiora can't get here in any decent time because she's got no TP. Marlon likely going to fall here, you have to imagine. Making this a 3v3. Natty Nat roaming down the river, looking to catch people out potentially on the retreat. Zvero and Inax going to try and exit via that bot side turret. Should be able to do so, but Natty Nat's still here. How far do they want to go? 3v1 for the moment. This is still a very damn tanky Skada, who dropped the Herald mid all the while. Chachi in danger, but that shove from Zoro keeps him alive. The Frost Bomb forces the flash out from Natty Nat.
That is wild. At the end of that exchange, it's Natty Nat who has to run away with his tail between his legs. Like, whoa, I really thought Inax or Chachi was falling down here. And Chachi, he's not had enough. He wants more. And here comes the TP. We're going to get a fight over Dragon.
Of course we are. Jankos now in the pit. Half HP, if that, for Natty Nat. Marlon trying to ward off Nash. Inax on a flank, lost about half of his own HP. That dragon is surely Nord's. Soul point denied. Charge on the wall, leaves Natty out to dry. And the needles come flying on through again. This acupuncture session is a fantastic one for Nord. They are claiming payment in blood from Ruddy Sack. Ethan, though, looking for a little bit more. Has got a few options for those vitals because can't find it. And Ruddy Sack, despite a good defense on that tier 2, still too low to play around the dragon and seed it in the grand scheme of things.
Jankos is getting pretty big here now. 3, 3, and 2. Most kills of anyone on his team in his pocket. They also, most crucially, stop the dragon stacking from Ruddy Sack. So that's not going to be any kind of quick soul or anything like that. Does slow down that snowball from the Sack. I think Nord would be pretty happy with the position they find themselves in, right? Nato is definitely a threat, but aside from that, I feel like you have some decent answers for everyone on the side of the Sack.
Gathan once again in a 1v2. Nash yet to go forwards though. Junk onto this Fiora, still stuck at one item. Would love to get some free time in the lane. That's just denied time and time again by Nord's efforts and attentions. Problem is, as you said, this Kai'Sa now at 2 items, getting pretty scary, and Vizichachi might also be the response for multi-man gang. Gonna try find the Keeper's verdict, and does so mid-Ixtal's impact. Experience on that turret on 44 HP, just about survives.
Yeah, and he has the presence of mind to get out of there. This is something that Natty Nat does specifically. I think he does it more than any other jungler that I see here in the NLC, at least. He loops back round for these secondary ganks, like, 30 seconds after he's done the first one, right? A lot of players will go for that first gank, get ultimated away by the Poppy, and then like, okay, that's that done, now I go back to doing my thing. Nope, not for Natty Nat. He goes straight back. It's like, oh, okay, cool. There's an ultimate now. I can go straight for a second gank. Doesn't always work out, obviously, but it's just something you have to be aware of, and it does definitely make your thought process. You have to think a bit more deliberately about what you're doing on the map, and Vizichachi, with good respect there, to back away before he fell victim.
Great job with that, Jankos. Just being ingressed onto into his own jungle. It's away with that. Except that red buff. Atacana spawn, it's the very hungry variant of it. I don't think there's a children's book about it, like there might be some very famous caterpillar from my youth. Either way, still there on the bottom side of the map. Jankos, Inax, and Nash. Heading up towards the other side as Marlon is going to have to Hex Flash over the wall to retreat. Left Nata a little alone under this tier 1. How aggressively do Nord want to play this? Brought a lot of members into this blue side jungle.
2 minutes still on this dragon. So not too much to posture around right now. Kind of just wasting time on the map a little bit. I understand like it's good to group up, play for vision, play for control of a certain area, especially around the objectives as these objectives are about to spawn. But I mean, to be fair, 2 minutes time is a little bit too long. Not going to get anything valuable off that. And as a result, yeah, Nord on their reset, going to get caught out so Ruddy Sack can take that tower for free.
And it is taken down. Started off by the Herald while all that bot side shenanigans were happening. If you remember way back to that tier 2 shove from Nord that went a little awry. Claimed that one up. Leaves, but he's sat with a slight gold lead again of about 1,000 here at the 21.5 minute mark.
Look at top lane.
Dragon spawning in about a minute and a half. Yeah, top lane.
Sorry to completely cut you off there. I'm just like, this is Nord now. They are expecting Gethin to be top here. So they're positioning for Zyru and Chachi to get this pick so that after this pick, they can then make a play on an objective. Even Jankos is coming up here to join this play. He has his flash.
Shove. Dodges away. Well, may need to burn the flash. Does so. Interrupted on the launch, but the riposte is good afterwards. Knock up onto it. Okay, they've got nowhere to go. Except an early grave. Nice gank from Nord.
Well done.
He picked that one up pretty cleanly.
That was a play like 1 minute in the making there, and Jankos is gonna piss it all away, but getting caught himself.
Oh, it's down the drain.
Yeah, that's
Pick another word there, one or two that would fit the English lexicon a little better. And that's your jungler down 30 seconds before soul point, potentially, for Ruddy Sack.
Yeah, just a bit greedy to try and go for those Krugs as well. He had his cake, did not need to eat it right in front of the Ruddy Sack. Toughy result right there. And of course, Gethin has teleport, but Jankos does not. So this might actually just be the dragon falling down to the sack, or at least we can get control of this area now, get that vision down, and make it really hard for Nord to try and make a play in this area. I think if Nord, sorry, if the sack could see what we're seeing here, then they would just go for this dragon, right? They would understand that Nord is not in position, they can't go for this, it's cool, they're chilling. But with Fog of War, it's not quite that simple, and it might just give Jankos time to get back onto the map.
Natinat and Chachi trading out there as Inax down to 10% HP though, makes this very hard to play out. At least Nata here, who also got chunk low, can pick up some honey fruit. Oh, Miss Chachi here on this Poppy is so tanky right now. No pen really built up by anybody you care to mention. Pharaoh's come along, teleports come flying on through. That brings Peng into the mix as well. Chachi stunned onto the wall but gets turned around. Then comes Nasta with the grand battle quickness, or whatever we've decided to name it. Chachi slams into all himself on the Poppy, just about surviving. Blast Cones tries to get to safety. Dragon was taken somehow by Jankos all the while in the back end of it all. They finally picked up Chachi, but his job was done. He denied Ruddy Sack from getting into the pit. That Dragon was secured. The problem is, they can now turn to Atacam with a man advantage.
Yeah, and Inax had to recall as well. This is just going to be completely free for the Ruddy Sack. A great fight. Doesn't quite secure them the Dragon, as that was snuck away, but taking Atakan, they'll certainly be happy with that one. Is the revive Atakan as well, so let's start seeing if the Sack decides to send it.
Keep their eyes on it. Towards the tier 2, Nord go. We'll claim that one as well. So, Dragon and Tower in trade for one. I think you'll take that if you're Nord. Gatham, though, with the revive Atakan, going to be very aggressive in this shove. Try and claim a tier 2 here. Nord continue just maraud through the enemy jungle and back down towards that river. Game remains a close run thing here, Foxy.
Yeah, very much so. A lot will kind of lead into this Nash play and lean on how this Nash play develops, because we do have these GAs available, these retreats. But crucially, for the Sack, there are no teleports from their solo laners. They use them both in that Dragon play or thereabouts. So it's going to be, you know, something that Sack have to be cautious of. They don't want to get caught out here. They're not going to have any backups. The Avengers will not assemble on this next play. Nord may be able to use that as a pick, you know, with the likes of the Rakan and the Talia ulti. That's the direction they decide to go, as they are just grouping up around this area. They're very, very aware that this could be going down. I'm going to scout it out, and that should just mean the Ruddy Sack disappear.
See if they can draw Nord in. There's a teleport earned for it at the very least. Chachi was the one who blew that one. Zvera, of course, still with the ult, still with the teleport himself. Pretty able to get around the map. Sack's still here, though. Scuttle Crab, Speed Shrine. Going on, granting Nord, rather. Decent vision. Chachi now looking to go in. The same with Nash.
Ooh.
Hang on. There goes Nata. Went looking for Inax, who Valkyrie is but Nata really deep needs to get on out. But he's quickness up! And that means that withdrawal is burned. Marlon now in danger. 4v5 and no AD carry for the moment. Jankos in danger. Goes golden. Tries to buy time. Marlon desperately tries to stay alive as Owen Gaethan gets that one. Double knockup from Jack to the backside. The keeper's verdict is death for Ruddy. Natty Nat, though, finds a big impale. Trying to get some more kills. Nash still surviving. Withdrawal still flying. As Gaethan tries to play this one up, he's still being knocked up and knocked around. Picks up NX all the while. In the 1 versus 3, Nash flashes away. And Gaethan's just picking up everybody by himself. Suddenly the Fiora is 5-3.
It should be a 5-4-3 in favor of Nord, but Atakan says, nah, it's cool, we're chilling, they don't count, they're not kills. Gets to the retreats and stops the Nash play from happening, but at the end of the day, it's not terrible here for the Sack, with all things considered. NASA just goes way too deep onto Inax here with that first Prey Seeker tag. Gets easily caught out, but we're going back to life here, because this Baron Dance is not done.
Violence will continue until morale improves. Nata, though, ate a lot of damage in the middle of that play. Sphero caught him out there just a little bit by looking at the Leandri's burn, and so I'm going to go find something to heal up off of. This 3.5 item mark has got pretty much all of his upgrades completed here on this Kai'Sa build as well. Chachi and Zvera going to clear out some vision here around the pit.
We'll see Nata go into this Magic Pen option as well now. To be fair, not very tanky members on the side of Nord. These Prey Seekers really will be hurting. I think it's a smart choice to go for this more ability-focused Kai'Sa choice here. I'm going to get a cheeky little pause on this one. And moving forward...
Operative being little. Little being operative, right?
Hopefully. Yeah. Little or not that cheeky, I would prefer. Yeah, I mean, Gethin, like you mentioned in that last team fight, popped off big time. He's 5-3-0. He's got 3 items complete, right? Triforce, Death's Dance, and another one. I didn't see what it was. He's big. He's a big boy, and there's no anti-heal. There's not... What was it?
Ravenous Hydra.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, obviously. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, so even more so, no anti-heal. No anti-heal on the side of Nord at all. So, like, they've been attacking Gethin in the side lane. And to be fair, like, you know, you keep sending 2-3 members, you can continue to do that. But he, at this point, should be in a position where his individual pressure that he builds up in the side lane, his push is incredibly fast. His tower taking ability just by being Fiora and with a Triforce, also really fast. And if he ever gets chunked, he heals it all back up in an instant, right? So it's going to be really hard now to contain him. Look at him. There he is. If he just keeps on pushing, it's going to require a very solid answer from Nord to sort him out.
Well, into game we go again. Dragon spawns in 35 seconds. Ready Sack or Nord would claim sole point of this one. The last 2 have gone Nord's way. But after that last play, Natter is 7-0. Gathan is 5-3. The gold lead just about there for Ruddy Sack, all things said and done. They need to make sure this play works, Nord.
Just chilling, apparently. Here come the pokes from Natter as well. First one doesn't do too much, but once you consume the stacks, if you get hit by 2 in a row, you are in trouble. And Gethin is peeling away from bot side, but I don't know, dude. I think he should... he's got his teleport. I don't think there's a downside to staying bot here, honestly. Like, what's he achieving now? He's moved over to the dragon, but that's cool because the position of the map, like, your team can secure dragon anyway. Yeah, let's see. Already, though, regardless of me nitpicking what's going on here, his pressure basically sorted him up for that because Zyru had to go back bot and catch that wave. Like, the thing is, if it's just Zyru coming down bot by himself, I think Gethin's kind of chilling, right? That the E from Talia, the work ground or whatever it's called. No, that's not it. That's a passive. What's the E called here? Initially?
Who specifically?
Talia.
When? Oh, Talia. It's Unraveled Earth.
Unraveled Earth. That's the one. Yeah, you can't slide through that if you're Fiora, so that might be a bit of a tricky thing here. But aside from that, dude, can't stop it. Absolutely can't stop it. And now 2 members had to show bot. Or does that mean for the Zac?
Yeah, and now you've got the crit bloom done for Nash as well. Kai'Sa in general on AP builds often prefers penetration over just raw AP anyway, because it makes sure that her passive does way more damage. It's pretty ridiculous in terms of the numbers. I can't remember exactly how it breaks down, but I've had some very smart people show me the numbers and go, this is how you're supposed to do it. And I go, yes, boss. That's the way it's done. And did get word about what that pause was about, by the way, Foxy. Have you seen?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very gamer reason.
Zvero had his food arriving, so it was a pause so he could pick up his food delivery, which is just wonderful. The substitute comes in and orders a sub. It turns up mid-game.
That's great. I mean, fair play, mate. You can't be playing on an empty stomach right here.
Absolutely
You got to stay focused. As that's it, because Nord at this point, they're kind of struggling. This is not looking too hot for them with the context of these comps as well, with what Fiora should be able to do here. I don't know, bro. Is his controller disconnected? I just think he should be staying bot. I'm not really sure. I mean, he kind of wants to lurk. Okay, here we go. We're going in. Let's go, baby.
That's not lurking, that's just straight playing. The seismic shove is onto Marlon, not the best target. Will ult immediately, loses about 30% HP. Chachi knocks the Alistar away, finds the charge of the backline. It's onto Nata. They turn around as Nata going in, but the shockwave after is damaging. They're doing so much work as Yagos trying to survive as best he can. They've killed off 99, but the turnaround is still there. The Halibut trying to hold as much as they can as Yagos gets away. They get rid of one, but it's in trade for Chachi. Hold our line. Smite down, though, could prove important here for the side of Nord. They still lost that dragon, all while things were happening. Recall. They get the shove. Nata will supercharge her away, but it's left Marlon out to dry. They picked up the additional kill. Greedy recalls from Ruddy Sack.
It's not good enough from the Zac here. I feel like they should be winning these team fights pretty handedly. And I'm critical of the way Gethin navigate that team fight. He was like halfway down mid lane and then TP'd to join his team. I feel like a pincer move would have been really good here. yeah, like Fiora doesn't want to be going front to back. You know, if he can find an angle in the backside, that's what he wants to do. And now opting into the bot side, but doesn't have the teleport. Really, you have declawed this Ruddy Sack strategy right now with removing Fiora's teleport. I think Nord would absolutely take this one, not just because it was a 2-for-1, but yeah, getting that teleport, especially from the Fiora. Gosh, you've really made things a lot easier for yourselves here. Yeah, definitely.
I agree. And again, you prevent the Baron start, you get some value there. Now Nord are the ones in position. They have the Skull Crab. They're getting a shot of Nata over the wall. Sorry, Natty, I'll get that one right as they do charge onto Yankos. They're trying to turn this one around. Who gets dragged miles away? Gwen's gone. No scissors saving that one. They're going to keep looking for this fight, but the jungler looked like it'd been picked. And instead they turn it around. Yankos falls.
Oh, the jungler was picked, but it wasn't the jungler we thought was going down. Didn't even have time to use the Zhonya's. Died in an instant. Great little knock up there from the Ruddy Sack. Taking down Yankos. On the plus side for Nord, there's not really anything on the map for the Sack to pick up here. Come on, that. Oh, ooh, what?
Oh.
Okay.
Last half second, he gets away with it.
Yeah. That's a little buffer time there. Okay, chilling. Yeah, nothing for the Ruddy Sack to take here with that pick on Yankos. But gosh, that was very close to being good for them.
What could be even better, though, for the side of Ruddy Sack is the dragon spawning in about 45 seconds. That would be Soul. I suspect we'll be seeing both of our teams set up around that one, Foxy. And already Ruddy Sack on that retreat. Going to try and shove out mid lane and get down towards this river.
This, like you say, is Soul now for Ruddy Sack. For Nord, it's just as important. They want to deny it. The control of the river, all in Ruddy Sack's favor right now. Nord as a 5-man unit trying to move towards, get some vision, get some understanding. Keep your eye on Gethin. He's in the pit right now. He can slide over the wall, find his victim.
Barrow was waiting though. Seismic shove is riposted away, but Nash will now go on with the quickness. Jump away. I'm not going for the full name this time, despite how cool it is, according to Foxy. That ultimate being down, significant. It's in trade for Gaten's flash, but is it going to be enough for Weaver's wall? Trying to get Varro into the mid, but he's got on the wrong side with Gaten. He doesn't want that one. Other side, though, Peng has to flash away. Stays like Marlon in danger in the middle of 5 old members. Gaten still looking at that angle. The Alistair flashing away. Surely falls here. Will try and headbutt his way back in, but can't. Nord secure the kill, and the Dragon Gaten in a 1v2 is winning out pretty damn well. Linux has to flash away and gets the shutdown. Yankos dies. Chachi will surely be traded as well. It will end up being a 2-for-2, all things said and done. But critically, Smite is out for the count for Nord, and Baron is up. Do Ruddy feel like they can push for more?
Well, Nord got the dragon. That's what they were aiming for. But like you say, losing Yankos and keeping Nata alive would just mean the death of the Nash too. But I feel like we're just going, okay, we're just chilling out. Nothing too good happened here. All right, keep your eye on this wall here from Zyru. This is masterful. It's beautiful because look at Nata. What's Nata doing here? He's doing absolutely nada in this fight because he can't auto-attack across that wall. It's such a good wall. It's so much displacement. The Chachi ult as well. Yes, as soon as it's all said and done here, this is where Ruddy Sack can start clawing it back. But this whole fight could have just been the Sacks right from the get-go if not for that great wall and that great displacement from Zyru.
The end of it all, though, Nata is now 10-0. He is terrifying on this Kai'Sa. We've at least got 4 items on the Corki, so that's some pretty good news. And yes, Vero on this Talia as well with 4 items to their name is an item ahead of this Orianna, and that's significant too. However, still feels like Ruddy Sack got that slight edge for all that Nord are managing to find some ways back in these fights around the objectives over the last few moments. Ferro coming in with the wall, looking for an angle onto Natia, who just drives on through, but it's left Nata out alone versus everybody! The 10-0 means nothing in the face of death! Shut down towards Yankos on the Gwen.
All by himself, no one can save him. 5 members strong of Nord, pushing down mid lane. Bro, I think they might be going for the end.
What a matter of fact, you just lost your 10-0 Kai'Sa. I think they'll just take the inhibitor for now. A little bit too risky to shove further, but Ruddy Sack could not back in good order, so they do lose the inhibitor.
Got to try for the Nash here then. You've got to make the most of this death timer on Nata. 5 versus 4, the big carry from Ruddy Sack, not available anymore. Don't go for the trap here, boys. Just take this Nash. Inax is looking for the PvP play, but yeah, just go for Nash here. Don't get caught. Don't overcomplicate it, boys.
They're going to chunk on forward to Nash, who needs to get out of there, and does so. They pull vaguely off the Baron, but Yanko's still in there, losing about half his HP. 5 seconds on Nata. Remember, with the Killer Instinct at level 16, can absolutely get over here in pretty short order. Baron secured. No way for Ruddy to get in the long scheme of things, and they can't find a fight after. Nor get the kill, get the inhibitor, get the Baron, and find themselves in the driver's seat this time around.
Well, you get a little bit of a breather here, but in 2 minutes and 9 seconds time, it's going to be the Dragon spawning. And this is huge for both teams now, because both teams are on Soul Point. Could just be the decider in the game how this one goes. And plus, we're pretty deep into this game. Those death timers are long. If we get a wipe, it will be GG as well. Where it's all going to come down to this. Who can get control of the river? Who can get control of this dragon pit? Set up that vision. Last time it was the sack, but Nord might have something to say about it. Oh,
went looking for the Hex Flash, looking, can't quite get it. Stays alive though, they're now jumping on in. That will a bit of additional trade there from Marlon, who I believe just blew his flash. Thorough. Really threatening now on this Talia. You've just got a death cap done on Nata though, and Gaethan at 4 items on this Fiora, and level 18 is going to be a nightmare in their own right. Minute now until the Dragon. Natinat is on a ward, trying to clear out some camps where he can. Will throw out that Seismic Bastion and an Upheaval Boulder. About it. Nord in this blue side jungle, and Ruddy Sack see nothing there right now. They've got a ward in the back of it, and that's about it. They're still going to drive on forward. They will get the Impale, but Natinat just disappears! The Scorpion hits a cannon raid, courtesy of Pharaoh's Q. Marlon has to ult too, and now you have no jungler for 50 seconds, and Dragon spawns in that timer.
That seismic shove was delicious from Talia. Right as Jankos has gotten caught and is going to be delivered into the open gates of hell. Shoved into safety. So well played here. Talia just, oh mate, beautiful stuff. And yeah, dude, we got time to push this down. We got 20 seconds until Dragon, but do not even want the Dragon. They're going for the end.
We're on to the Nexus turret. The Weaver's Wall comes on down, but Marlon stood to the backside will likely die. Does not have the ultimate to stay tanky. Ruddy Sack, 3v5, have to hold on. 15 seconds on Natina. The damage is here. In goes Nata! The Killer Instinct's just that! Gaethan and Nata now running away to supercharge. Gives us space and time as Chachi does his work. Shockwave tries to come on through as the Killer Instinct. Sorry, Keeper's Verdict used to knock Nata up. Back away, 2 members down. They've got the Nexus turret, but Nord need to run away. The needles to slow the Scorpion on his respawn. Dragon's up. Nord looking to get on forwards. Nata, no ult, no flash, but is looking to back up his jungler.
Well, this is it now. If Inax and Yankos can't pull out something big, and this could just be the Dragon going down as well. It's a terrible time to get greedy and overextend. This might just be the soul for Ruddy Sack. They decide to turn and burn. Chachi's come in. 3 versus 2 right now. Here's the teleport from Peng.
Nata is in danger! He's got a shield, trying to buy some time. Must fall! Yakos gets him! Azonya's to make sure he builds a monument to Nata's sins! Peng flashing away, but Chachi is hunting. Knocked up by the Alistair, put to one end. Natty at a 1v2, just ain't that tanky. This Gwen at this late game stage with 4 items and 1,000 cuts will be the death knell for Ruddy Sack. They've held on, but they will surely be tapping out.
It's got to be now 40 minutes on the clock. Nata's dead. Nat is dead. 5 versus 3. Ruddy Sack are going to try and hold.
Trying to heal up now, Gaethan down to 10% HP though. The death dance continues to take him down, needs to heal on up. Chachi in danger, knocked on himself by that pulverize. The turnaround with the Keeper's Verdict. Sentence, death, sentence, Nord's game. They win the first tiebreaker today.
Just like the Sack in the seeding split. They started so well and then it all fell apart. This game was a microcosm of how they've done so far here in the NLC. They should have won it. They should have won it, dude. And there were a few things that I would point at here. But I feel like if you're going to have that Fiora and she reaches the point where she can have big old impact and be a real headache for people in a side lane, she's got to be a headache. And it just, yeah, didn't happen.
And then the other side of that is Chachi, that Poppy is glorious. Vero, the substitute, also another fantastic game. And Solari, I'll give you the opportunity to wax lyrical about your Polish boy.
Thank you so much, Initialize. Always happy to do so. 2 Polish boys, actually. May you please stand corrected. But this was such a fascinating game, right? You look at how the game progresses. You see Radisak being pretty much in control, leading in terms of the gold, in terms of the kills. And then all of a sudden, it's not actually destroying enemies' nexus. Trouble, Jamada, how did that happen?
Well, first of all, Jamada did say, hey, this might be actually like a poke Kaisa. 3 ocean dragons later, no one cares about poke Kaisa, okay?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, Nata was the recipient of almost all of Ruddy's kills for, like, the early stages of the game. But unfortunately, it didn't matter. Again, the same issues seem to be arising from yesterday, where not all of Ruddy was on the same page on every single engage, and especially as the game went further and further in, you know, you felt like you was constantly seeing, you know, Natty Nat kind of overstep, or Nata here and there occasionally started to get picked off, right? You can't stay perfect forever. And on the opposite side for Nord, just kind of staying fast amongst the chaos and ensuring that they tried to do their best to keep their relevant carries alive, in particular Zvero and Inax, but of course Yankos running rampant towards the later stages.
I feel like the problem here for Nord was that Nata got too fed too early. And when you're playing against an AP poke Kaisa, suffering all that poke early before you have built resistances, before you have levels and extra HP in your bar, it becomes really difficult to deal with her. But as the game went on, one, it felt like the composition from Radisak just didn't necessarily have a way of particularly that they wanted to play. It was front to back, some of it was poke, but some of it was burst. It had engage, but they didn't necessarily went all in with an AP Kaisa. They tried to find flanks for Fiora, but they weren't quite there. And I feel like at the end of the day, Nord got the 3 Ocean Souls, which are life-saving. And again, I cannot stop giving props at how well Zvero has been playing these 2 days. 2 of the picks onto Nata in the late game where they shut him down, Ed took his flash, were due to Zvero.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me, though, is we're talking about, like, Kaisa as in, like, poke Kaisa. It was poke Kaisa by item 4 and 5. It was the traditional Kaisa build, or one of the traditional Kaisa builds, basically anything, right? But
you meant
first
the hybrid,
3 items
right?
were, yeah, like, to me, I'm thinking Muramana into then AP, right? That's, like, the proper Kaisa build where you spike mid-game. And it's hard, obviously, there's plenty of gameplay things to talk about here, Radisak, but I think fundamentally the true lack of identity inside of that draft is really what went on to then make the game difficult on top of the additional decisions that they ended up making, right? So, for me, tough for Radisak, but now to focus on Nord, I mean, the resilience to stay stable in, you know, as stable as they could in this kind of environment of a game where it's very, very chaotic, right? The other team are making very spontaneous decisions, trying to still play the map around the side lanes, and, you know, keeping Gaetan kind of on a leash. And to be fair, that was to Radisak's own design, but or own doing rather. But the fact that they were able to keep him away from, you know, cracking open the base in a 40-minute game against Fiora is quite impressive, and denied one of Ruddy's very key win conditions in that game.
It was a very hard first half of the game for Nord, but somehow they were managing to keep things more or less under their control. You could see that the gap between the teams wasn't really increasing too drastically in favor of Radisak. But in the end, what was the secret sauce for Nord that allowed them to win the game?
I think finding Nata. They caught him overextending twice, and again, Jamada said it earlier, he was majority of the gold lead. It was all on that Kaisa. You catch him, it's impossible for Radisak to actually continue these team fights. And again, I cannot stress enough that this particular composition did not have a certain way that they wanted to play the game. And I feel like this really comes back to the draft where we're kind of scratching our heads and we're like, okay, that early Kaisa doesn't necessarily make too much sense, and then their lanes kind of go counterpick whilst you're on red side. So this is a 0-3 right now from Radisak, continuing from yesterday, and they really need to start picking up victories.
Yeah, and again, we can point fingers at the draft. Draft is an issue. I think we all kind of are a bit unanimously in unanimous agreement on that. Still, doesn't change the decisions made, right? With that much gold on a Kaisa, they almost certainly still could have won this game out. But again, it came down to the crucial moments around Dragons, around, the build-up and the setup towards those objectives, where, again, someone was getting chunked out, someone was taking a little bit too much damage, a flash gets blown, an overchase, right? There was even the overchase after that teleport in the bottom side from Peng, where, honestly, Nord should have lost the game on that sequence, but unfortunately, Ruddysack overextended. They tried to find more kills and past that dragon instead of just picking the third one up for free, and it allowed Nord to then come back and contest, which was really one of those big swing moments that then gave back just about enough momentum for Nord to start playing the game again on a little bit more of an even footing.
So as a result of this, Nord are taking in the first tiebreaker of the day, the first game of the day with a 1-0 versus Ruddysack. But we are not done with this yet, because we have Nash, the support from Nord, to join us today for the interview. Hello, Nash. Good to see you on the interview again. It's not Archer with you this time. Sorry, you'll have to deal with me today. But Nash, first of all, can we please go through this game? Because this looked so stressful to all the Nord fans in the very beginning of it. But then somehow you turned this around, and I want to hear it from you, the inside perspective. What did you do to change the game?
Well, like you said, it was a lot of crazy moments in that game. It was not stable by any means. Several throws from both sides, but we remained pretty calm, and we knew when, especially once they started over chasing for kills, it just kept happening repeatedly. So we just kept focusing for most of the fights. The Kai'Sa was the primary damage dealer, so as long as we can focus her, I was very happy to trade my flash with hers every time. And then once we got the key picks, especially on Kai'Sa on mid lane, then it stabilized a little bit.
Awesome. Nash, I have a question that is probably on the minds of a lot of people, because your team has been playing with a sub in the week number 1. Now you're playing with a sub for the week number 2. Having so many changes in the team, and this is not the final change because nobody's going to be back, how does it affect the team atmosphere?
Well, the atmosphere is still really good. I mean, it wasn't optimal after we went 0-2 in the first week. That was definitely not part of our calculations, but the moral in the team is good. We've been very fortunate and had 2 great subs. Zweiru playing out of his mind all games. Ronaldo also has been playing really good. So, yeah, we were very fortunate to have super good subs. And, overall, they've slotted in quite nicely.
You mentioned the result of the first week, the 0-2, and I'm sorry, we have to go back to it for a second, because it was such an unpredicted result. But then suddenly you rise like a phoenix in the week number 2, and today you take another game from Ruddysack. What changed within the team?
Well, I don't want to say draft diff, but it was kind of draft diff in the first week. I think especially when I picked Braum in our game versus Sing's Rel, I could tell after we picked it that this was not the angle. So I think most of all, we're just trying to stabilize a little bit, be more cautious, and not chase after kills especially. It's so easy when you have an aggressive roster to keep throwing your leads and just continuously fight, but we try to reel that back in, kind of reassess our priorities in draft, and try to build up a stable composition off of that, and then it's way easier to execute once you're in game. So primarily that, I think.
Glad to see that it worked for you, Nash. Huge congratulations for the game number 1, and good luck in the next game for today, because there is still one more waiting for you. We'll see you later today.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. This was game number 1, but we still have more exciting games for you, everybody. Back at home, still 2 more tiebreakers. We will go right now on a short break, and then we will be right back for game number 2. Ruddysack will be back playing against DMG. Did you miss us, Chad? Because we definitely did miss you on this very short break, but we're back with more NLC action for you today for the tiebreakers for game number 2 on the menu. We have yet again Ruddy Suck, and we have them playing against DMG. Trouble, Jamada, what do we expect from this matchup after seeing Ruddy Suck in the previous game?
Yo, what's actually great? Okay, so Trouble did the fantastic thing again, where she was muted, started talking, and then actually what she said was, "Jamada, all you, buddy." So yeah, I mean,
Dude,
Ruddy
you
said,
didn't even have to say that, and it would have rolled so nicely because we would have never known.
No, but now, no, the people need to know. I
You
won't
just
lie.
you just out them. You're
I
like,
won't
it's
lie.
on, Jamada.
No, I will never lie to the NLC community.
It's actually
That's
you
not
called
gonna
me
happen, at least not on the
5-5.
broadcast.
That's a lie.
Look, again, I think that the issues from yesterday and today seem relatively consistent for Ruddy Suck. I liked the opening of this game from them, right? Very aggressive, very willing to make plays, and I think that's super important. They need to continue to do that, but they need to do it together. That is the key thing, and they need to ensure that things like their side lanes are working out for them. They're set up well. If they're going to be running something like the Fiora, it's very clear where their mentality seems to be at with things like the draft. Picking up, you know, very confident hits, right? Between the Fiora, between the Kai'Sa. It needs to be, again, in coordination, in sync with one another. DMG are a slightly less coordinated team overall in comparison to Nord. So I expect that this game might end up being a little bit more chaotic than the previous, depending on how things lie.
I'm actually on the other side because Severin from memory right here, DMG played a super slow, clinical, calculated game versus Ruddy Suck yesterday, and it was a game that I didn't expect necessarily to see from DMG. Fatesky actually picked the Varus and went lethal tempo. And I was casting yesterday with Initialize, and I was like, I don't like this lethal tempo. I'd rather he had gone for the more poke build where he can get more prior in lane. However, getting that counter pick and building the team around Fatesky's Varus worked so well. Ruddy Suck went for the fist fight that Jamada has been talking about the entire time, and that did not work. They kept playing overly aggressive because DMG were playing overly defensive, and then they kept falling into the trap to the point where Fatesky's Varus was so fed. And as you can see on your screens as well, these team fights, look, what's the Varus? He's not even touched.
Yeah, I mean, his positioning was fantastic. He was the main highlight, I think, yesterday for this DMG side. Though, of course, that game that we're going to cut away from against North was not so pretty. DMG roster, I've spoke about them a fair bit. Keep your eyes as well on Bisgard. I think Bisgard's had a pretty stellar split and has continued to grow individually, as well as Bucci as well, right? We've had a lot of talk around him in the top lane. Kind of returning to last year's form, and say he has too, right? The hilarious Herald play is still on replay in my head from yesterday, looking up 3 people at the same time to win the fight.
His interview about that.
The interview, yeah, he didn't even do it on purpose. But look, making the best, making the best out of, you know, a awkward situation. As here we are into this draft. Ruddy Suck themselves banning the Mundo on blue side. Very interesting to see that one fly.
Themselves.
Actually,
that was the first thing I was gonna say. Is this maybe gonna be the game? Like, because you think about it. Go ahead, Trouble. Oh
yeah. Fun fact. Fun fact.
Oh, they were flipped. Okay, that's why.
Okay,
fun fact. I want to say
Thank
that Dandom also plays Mundo in the jungle. He actually has like a lot of different champions within Mundo, Diana, Zinzao, Lee Sin, Javan, like pretty much everything, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if that was banned against him, but damn, it feels like these 2 champions plus the Gwen now, who's Natinat, are really feared.
Ooh, okay.
Quadruple jungle ban. That's what we like to see.
No
B1 fight.
No rumble.
Is that what you like to see, Trouble? We had a prediction today how many Vibe picks are going to happen today, especially the first pick.
My big question now is what's going to happen with the Rumble, because Rumble is up and available. The Pantheon, I assume, will probably get locked in, and it does. Obviously, a lot of flexibility there. It's going to be Realm immediately. So there's the opportunity for Kamsky to go any of the plethora of support options that there are. Poppy, Alistar is obviously the main one. You can also just go the traditional Leona and Nautilus and just kind of handshake that you're playing on these engaged champions to follow up with the Vi, and Talia, additionally, with the Vi being their very high stock. Same thing for the Ahri as well, to deny it potentially away from Peng. but he will land on Stalia in the end. And of course, Rumble's still there if they want it. It would lean into a lot of AP, but you would lock in your whole top side, and that wouldn't feel too bad in this situation, I don't think.
And the other reason why I talk about Vi is because champions like Pantheon exist, and Pantheon literally fistfights Vi to death. And the only concerning thing right here is that usually when you're on red side, you get the chance to have counterpick lanes for yourself, and Pantheon can actually very easily invade Vi. We saw yesterday a game from DMG. I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it was the one versus Nord, where they cut off Dundom on level 1. They split his jungle, and then they kept constantly invading. And if the Radisak can take anything out of their book, is that they can do that. Say, if the Talia wasn't picked, Katarina is fantastic into Veigar. I'm telling you.
Katarina. Okay, let's get.
Okay,
you
you're
to
pushing
the,
it today. I'm just saying.
Let's get you to bed. Let's get you to bed, Auntie.
Okay, Grandma.
Misfortune. Yeah, like okay, Grandma. I was gonna call you Grandma. I called you Auntie in place.
He was trying to be nice to Rumble.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. You self-flamed. Misfortune makes a lot of sense. You got a bunch of setup right on the opposite side for Fate Ski, and I wonder if it's just going to be another one of those kind of big lane bully champions that are still up and available. Veigar, I suppose technically I will also call out there is a light bit of flexibility for this to land bot if Radisak want it to, but I do anticipate this is going to end up being the answer into the Talia. Of course, Talia has no way of escaping the cage, so early on it sets up for very, very free Pantheon ganks. And the 2v2 is very, very powerful. You can kind of think of it early on as a bit of a slightly more harder scaling contextually, Syndra, because of the point and click R, right? So it will be very, very difficult for DMG to skirmish, even once they get their level 6s online as well.
We have an immobile mage right now for Radisak, and we have already quite a lot of control on DMG side. Can DMG double down on that and try to do something specifically with Veigar, or should there be another game plan for them?
I actually really like all the AD carry bans right here, because Jamada said, hey, this could be a flex. If way too many AD carries are out the pool, and contextually to your comp, Veigar does not make sense to go mid. I like the composition together with the Pantheon, but also Vitalia are very scary as a combo.
I will just say, Yone's up if they want to. I mean, if they go Sivir, they can go Sivir. Yone and Pantheon, very, very scary, especially at level 6, right? Yone will absolutely survive the laning phase versus Talia. Can side lane later on, Pantheon to follow up, and Veigar would make for very good wave clear. This is, with the Sivir, just nullification in the lane phase, scaling up, and I think just returning to a much simpler framework of a team composition, assuming Gaethon goes towards something that's going to be a little bit more team-orientated and a little bit less, you know, kind of individual-orientated, like the Fiora and a couple of the other picks we've seen out of him, like the Gwen too.
What's wrong,
I'm not particularly a big fan of that Sivir here. I much prefer the Xayah. There's a very easy way that you can pop the shield with the smite and then knock up the Sivir. And there's also way too much CC within Talia. Leona has 3 types of CC. Talia has another 2. You've got the Vi there as well. Which one are you going to spell shield first?
Whichever is the first one and then you die?
I will say with so many AD bans, it does kind of make sense you end up landing on something like the Sivir, but I suppose there were things like the Xayah up and available, right?
Aphelios.
We are seeing Aphelios. I can't recall the last time I saw an Aphelios. The Urgot Hover, of course, a little bit cheeky, but go towards Olaf, which technically, I will say, Olaf and Pantheon can end up in either of these lanes. I think they'll be happy with both sides of their respective matchup, but I anticipate Pantheon will end up in the jungle. And I guess we'll have to see how Olaf does into Renekton, because I imagine that being a very, very volatile lane that both these junglers and both these teams are going to have to put a lot of attention to, because the rest of the map is going to be, I imagine, kind of quiet, a little bit wave clear, and it's only really the mid lane where Isgard might be able to get out to the map.
Yeah, DMG did this yesterday as well, where they had a complete front-to-back composition, and suddenly there was like a wild Vi thrown in there, and I'm running again into the same problem where I'm like, hey, if Radisak read the level 1, they throw Dundom out of his jungle, Pantheon can constantly keep fist fighting that Vi, and Dundom did not have a good time on the invade, so I think level 1s are going to be very important.
As always, very quickly, I need just the name, Trouble, Jamada. Who is winning this one?
I think I'll go with the Radisak.
Radisak, Jamada?
DMG, I'm here to hate watch today.
He's a hate watcher.
The desk is split a little bit this time. Are the casters split as well? What are their opinions? Let's hear it from Foxdrop and Initialize. Take that away, boys.
Well, Grandma and Granddad are fighting on the desk, apparently. So, Foxy, you're going to have to be the tiebreaker. Where are you at? Who are you favoring here?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to go with DMG on this one, actually. Yeah. I am just not a Sack fan today,
Oh, I thought you were just going to leave that one there. It's like, you're just not a fan of Sacks. There you go. But that's fair. I think it's... I don't know. It'll be an interesting one to track, because we are going to keep an eye on that top lane in particular, right, with the Olaf and the Renekton being a very volatile matchup. I do agree with Trouble, though, when she was saying, look, yesterday, Dandon went for the Vi. It was miserable. Nord split the map on it. Vi went for an invade to kind of assume it was going to be a trade of map halves, and it did not go well. At level 2, Zvero found him, blew him up on the Talia. It was not a good time.
But he's just like a cheat code, though, no? Like, if we talk about him, he's played so well. Fortunately, this time around, I mean, for DMG, trying to replicate a little bit of what we saw from Zwiru in game 1. But that's a high bar. Having said that, Biscard, right, in the first week of games, pentakill.
Oh yeah, me and you casting it, I remember.
Yeah. And he went from 0-0-5 or something to 5-0-5. Like, it was literally his first 5 kills of the game. They all came in one team fight and he got a penta. So that was kind of cool. But I can't really expect something similar on a Talia. This is, for me, my eyes are where the observers have put them here. It's got to be around this Olaf, around this Renekton as well. Because Gethin, I think, has a lot to prove to me still as his side lane threat, as a top laner in general. And I think Olaf is definitely the starter champion where you can really shine and be a huge issue. A kind of Bwippo-esque kind of champion. Does Gethin have it in this game?
I have to try it, that's for sure. In a interesting position, had a rough time with that Fiora, couldn't leverage some of the early leads and early fights he did find. It was those later stages where the decision-making got a bit tricky. Already sacked, overplayed their hands onto Tryson. Nord held their nerve really well to kind of leverage what we ended up seeing as a slightly more coherent composition, sure, but he's not able to use the leads they did have as Peng. We'll use that Dark Matter to claim that minion under the turret. Gathan, though, can't quite get to the undertow as we get a pause. Oh. Is it another cheeky one,
Whose food is it
Foxy?
this time?
Yeah, whose food is it this time? That's the question. Maybe it's mine. Did you order me food,
God.
Foxy?
I don't think so. No.
That's a shame. Did you order me food? Just get it in the next half an hour?
Food.
Oh, I see how it is. Yeah.
Famished.
Well, actually, genuinely true. Me too.
Yeah. So, starting things off on a good note here, I want to talk a little bit about the Ruddy Sack and their scaling this game, because you've got Sivir and Veigar, right? 2 champions. Sivir especially crazy scaling, just in and of herself. Like, it's Sivir. I don't really need to explain it, but Veigar's a champion that you don't see a huge amount of by himself. But he is one of those like infinite scaling champs like Nasus, right? You get stacks by last hitting things with your Q or hitting champions with your ability. So this is potentially something though that the Sack will have to be aware of and really pick and choose their fights, and might dictate where Marlon and where Natty Nat go on the map. Because I mean, I'd put a lot of my eggs in the Gethin basket early on. He could be the bridge from early to late, which is something that the Sack comp desperately needs. Veigar, Sivir, they aren't gonna work it for you early game.
Hang on, they're gonna tough it out briefly. Gathan, of course, is on this Olaf, gonna throw down the Ghost Runner Hill. There's one of his standards coming on over Flash, and Bucci gets first blood and a solo kill.
Bucci gang is back, baby. That's all it takes. 1v1. Olaf falling down. Renekton a tough customer early, but not good here for Gethin. Losing his ghost in the process. You can see Dandon was in the area too. That might just be a repeat gank here. You know, Bucci TP's back home. Sorry, yeah, Riku's back home. TP's back to his turret, and then Dandon might actually just reshow topside. Could be a play here as he goes onto this side.
Armsky in danger. Marlon won't do too much more there. And again, another part of that bridge would be something like Natty Nat on this Pantheon, but having that Olaf fall behind early on, yeah, it was a interesting moment. Gathan couldn't stand and fight because he saw that Dandon was coming on up, but it's a good start for Bucci, who another one of those players who is returning to the league after last year and came into this league where suddenly you were full. Many very scary players. Dandon Well, they invade here, so story time. We pause for a second or two, especially with Bizguard behind, and steal completed. Back away from that one. But yes, Bushi was one of our best rated top laners from last year. And now we're in a league where he kind of had a rough winter split, yes, but is also looking at people like Chachi, people like Faust who've come on in and made him look not quite at that tier anymore. It's like the best in the league kind of thing.
Definitely.
Maybe,
definitely.
you know?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, I just agree. Like, he's up against tough, stiffer competition this time around. As bruh, that is magnetically drawn towards the jungle camp was Dandem there. It does feel terrible to lose your camps, but mate, you just did it to Natty Nat. Come on, all's fair in love and war.
And apparently in stealing grubs. That's also something that's fair in I don't know whether that's part of war. Are grub steals considered an act of war? Probably. I would consider that as a jungler an act of war.
Yeah, quite possibly, I would say so. Anytime the enemy jungler's in your turf, very territorial are junglers, like dogs. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. I mean, that's, you know, I've been called that plenty of times, to be fair. So
oh,
yeah,
that's true. Me too. Is it a jungle thing?
Yes, I think that's what people are saying, right? That's what they're describing when they use that word to talk to me as a jungler.
That's the only thing it can be, right? There's no other meaning.
No, I will
Absolutely
not.
not.
Off the top of my head, what that might be. But either way, that's the situation here. Dan losing his flash to defend his territory was maybe a little bit too much. Probably did need to go back in to try and get the Gromp, sorry. I didn't even get it either, which is pretty much insult to injury. These grubs will be spawning soon, though. They're on the map right now. You've got to take a look at the position of the lanes. Dandem's going to want to get level 5, most likely, before he goes for the grubs. He can actually get them off of a smite from the first grub, though. So can just bomb it down towards there. Natty Nat is not in position. DMG are posturing aggressively here, the bot side. Natty Nat might be around to counter the play. This is the downside of having a Vigar mid, though. Don't have that strong member to make these plays, to move out of mid.
The grubs are then just going to be taken by DMG. Bucci heads back up towards that top side and really aren't necessarily trading for that dragon right now. Pantheon on his Raptors, going to try and get towards level 6 and that Grand Starfall. And just stacking up, you can keep an eye on those stacks on the top right of that little, what's the name of it? Icon, I suppose. On the right-hand side of the screen, 42 stacks right now. Sorry, 44 as I speak about it. The answer to life, the universe, and everything has been exceeded.
+2. 46 right now. This is it. That's the number you want to keep your eye on, though, because that's just AP, extra AP provider. That's what those stats mean.
Question.
Yes.
What do you consider the
Potential
break
answer.
point on Vega for like the stacks to when he becomes really, really scary?
I mean, to be fair, I think it's like, oh, that's a good question, actually. I could answer that question for Nasus, but it's kind of like stacks per minute as well, right? But it don't, yeah, I'd say, I'm going to say around like the 200 to 300 for me. That's it, right? But it
Feels fair.
yeah, it depends on his items as well, right? Depends on his items as well. Some people, because he can get inherent AP with his stacks, opt into less AP from their items so they can get a more well-rounded build. As I pause that thought here, Natty Nat is guards here as well.
There's the seismic shove that Natty Nat flashes away from. The Comet Spear not needed. Back away from that one briefly, but it's left Gaithan at half HP in threat of a potential Weaver's Wall from Bizguard. I'm not seeing the ult icon in Bizguard's right-hand corner. I'm assuming he's leveled it. But I'm not seeing it there, and that worries me slightly. It could just be a bug. But there's a world where Bizguard hasn't got his ult. Kamsky, there it is, the ult. So there it is. It just was a little late on loading. There we go. Comes on through his Maul and has to flash away. There is no weird Tillia tech going on where she didn't level Weaver's Wall, which I thought would be a bit odd.
Yes. When was the last time we've seen a champion just not put points in their ulti? I can think of old Sion. Sion, right? When your ulti would give you like lifesteal on your auto attacks, but you build him AP and try and one-shot people. It's like an AP champion with a lifesteal ult was not it. I can't think. There must have been another example of that. Where you just don't put points in
Rise didn't for a while, but when he first got Realm War, but it was such a short range, people go, I'd rather get the value on the Q and E, and wait till level 10 and 11 to basically double stack ult.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that's interesting now, isn't it? Now I'm thinking about that. I'm a bit distracted trying to come up with examples. But yeah, I don't know. Tillia's. This is the thing, is I guess if you're gonna do it on someone, you know, like Vigar, your ultimate's a big boom ulti, and like you have to have that one. But yeah, I mean, technically, if you have zero intentions of helping your team, and you know you're not good at placing the wall strategically, I guess you need your ultimate on Talia. But fortunately for Bizguard and for his teammates, that wasn't the case. He does have his ulti, and that weave as well, the first one, just going to be used to not really get too much, to be honest, in that mid.
A flash of Marlon, so you get a little bit there, but not huge deals, and it allowed you to come back down from that roam top side. So it was more of a pseudo teleport rather than an aggressive play. But Heng found a roam out of mid lane, looking for potential dive here. Fatesky with Severin crescendo though. Grand Starfall afterwards. They blow up Karmsky. Fatesky trying to onslaught his way to safety, will not do so. Flash out from Nata, who's got the on the hunt rolling. Dandem looking to come on forward, does have the smite. Turnaround from Nata, who will begin to throw some ricochets back. And much like Titanium, you stay away from that, and the pitch gets a little higher. They get 2 kills on that well-executed dive from Ruddy Sack.
Really nicely done here. 2 for 3. And we still got the roam from jungler. Dandem came down to try and do something, which means that he's not doing something on the top side of the map. So you waste his time too. Very nicely done. Excellent stuff. And the cake on the top was Payne got a last hit with his Q on a champion. So he is absolutely rolling in those stacks right now.
There's the 99 stacks. One more ain't one. Gonna get there just about. Comes on through, gets himself towards a decent breakpoint. Going towards the rower build here as well, a little bit slower, but gives him some of those tankier stats that Veigar sometimes needs to survive, because he is a very slow, waddly champion with no dashes and only one defensive tool in that E that takes a significant amount of time to arm.
Yes, often seeing these more utility-focused builds on Veigar for that reason. Do you remember GLP? Veigar was really strong for a time, yeah. With whatever that rune's called.
Wind Ghosts as well was the other one.
Yeah, Wind Ghosts, exactly. So he loves doing that. And the stacking on Roa really does synergize nicely with the stacking on his passive. We're going to get a good engage right here. Here comes the fight.
Teleport in as well. Did get the 4th grub. So Ruddy Sack won't be able to claim all of them, but they're here in enough force to claim at least 2. Deny that objective marker for the feat to strength, then get themselves on the board at least a little bit with some of those grubs for some of that tower shoving themselves.
The big pain right here is the committed teleport from Olaf, from Gethin, moving from bot side towards top side. Fortunately, with the movement of the entire team, you can see here, so we did kind of just like a rotation, like a switcheroo, right? Gethin went from bot to top, and top went to mid. Nata went from top to mid, and then Peng went from mid to bot. So everyone moved down and kind of actually covered for the fact that Gethin moved there.
Like people are just changing seats to get to know people. Hi, I'm a top player. What's your name?
Pass. Next one.
Next lane, teleport away.
Yeah, gone. No, thank you.
Gathan's saying that right now as the Dominus comes on through. It's a very aggressive date. Run away. Ragnarok's in. That is the end of days. At least the end of the date. The little Mike comes on forwards and won't interrupt the back.
No, it's tough though. This Olaf is really struggling early onto the Renekton.
Hang on.
Karmsky.
Solar Flare buys some time, but the Shattering Strike after will hold Karmsky in place for a second or 2, but not too much more. They get the chunk. Dragon up and available. Ruddy Sack seem to want to run on over and claim it for themselves.
That will be the second dragon of the game, but the second one stacking up for Ruddy Sack as well. Good stuff for them, but we did see this last game too, right? Ruddy Sack got the 2 early dragons, but unfortunately couldn't really do too much from that. And were losing dragons really from that point on. I'm worried about this top side, man. I'm worried about this Olaf pick. This is the bridge from early to mid to late. It's not been needed, fortunately, right? With that great dive down bot side was really crucial for the sack. I feel like, what is Olaf's role going to be in this one? Because I don't think Olaf outscales Renekton, right? Like to an extent, like he'll have more pressure, like he can push sideways, right? If Gethin's name was Baus, then yeah, that's your angle, right? Because he's even gone for the Tiamat. You know, you go for that, whether that's going to be Stridebreaker or Ravenous, kind of preferential there, but I think Stridebreaker most likely. And then you have pressure inside, you have pressure inside lane, and then you're kind of just chilling and you're creating a big problem for the opposing team. But we've already seen Gethin on the Fiora to play side lane, and he didn't do it, right? He didn't play for that. So I don't know. I'm a bit concerned with how it's going here. I'm a bit concerned.
Just a bit. We're not quite at Gravely. That'll be in a minute or two. But right now, it's not a good start. Again, gets to a point where obviously you don't get to lock down the Olaf as freely anymore because you've got that ultimate up and running. And the first item breakpoint may change things around a little bit yet. It's not been a great start for the game from Gaithan, who played well for 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the last game on the Fiora, but didn't manage to convert what felt like some good individual moments into a game-winning strategy. Didn't really find the win con on the champion, and that's what we're worried about a little bit here on this Olaf. At least they picked up a second dragon again. Reminder, last time they did that against Norden, couldn't convert that into Soul. And you've still got this Vhagar stacking, you've still got the Sivir coming online. The later this game goes, the happier you are in some ways with at least a few of those champions.
Keep an eye here on the position of Natinat as his ultimate comes back up. Still a little bit of time, but that's the next big play you would imagine. And as well, we'll just mention this a little bit on the desk. This the play you can make versus a Sivir as Vise. As you're jumping in with your ulti, the spell shield comes through from Sivir and you smite it. So you can still get the knock-up and still get the combo. So Nat is not as safe as he might feel being fronting against the Divider. Yeah.
Step on forward from Natinat, and right to call that one out as a 3-weapon switch comes on through from Fadeski. Nice moment there. Going from Gravitum into the 7th Crescendum. You can do some fun combos with Aphelios like that, where you time out the ammo with a last ability on one weapon to go into the next set of your weapons to get loads of value. All those kind of fun little techie bits on the champion. What made him so popular for so long with a lot of our AD carry pros out there around the world. It's that one item himself, but again, it looks like the scaling will be relatively matched down there. It's just elsewhere we have some more questions about where DMG go post the mid-game. Mid-game itself, though, great stuff for that team for all that they have got the Aphelios, which is nominally a hyper carry.
I feel like both these teams have good scaling options as well, as you mentioned. Like, obviously Vhagar Sivir is scary, very scary by itself, but even the likes of the Aphelios, right? Like, you know this champion can pump out deeps, and they've got a good amount of sep on their team to make that happen too. Bizguard will mean there's a lot on his shoulders here as he misses the shot, but we're going in anyway.
Natty flashed away the Aegis Assault, bought some time, will shield vault over towards the Raptors, uses them to body block. As the rest of Ready Sack now coming down on the hunt, they go. Nata avoids the Zenith, but even with a late spell shield. Here comes the Event Horizon, can't get to flash away. Marlon low, flashes away himself, stays alive. Now Gaithan comes on in, Ragnarocking and rolling his way through the back end, and there's a Grand Star falling from Natina, looking for an angle, but Fadeski begins to unleash Sapper of Crescendo. Welcome to the blender! And Bucci gets a hold of Natina. It's a 1-for-1, all things said and done.
Perfect angle for the Olaf this fight. We're not done!
They get the shove on back. Sivir is shut down. It goes into the hands of Fadeski, who does get some more value from the fight.
The Herald is alive. DMG will turn on over. It started out a little bit hairy, this team fight for DMG. But crucially, they're able to stick with it, pull it out in the end. 45 seconds for this next Dragon. Unfortunately for the Sack, this was around the time the game started falling apart for them previously against Nord. And as a team that went 2-0 in their first week, 0-2 in their second week, and have dropped their first game here of the tiebreakers, they haven't tasted victory in a long time. And I'm starting to see some repeat patterns in their gameplay, bringing down their failures here. Hopefully they can turn it around because it's not looking too hot for them right now.
Looking fantastic. The gold is even, and they've got Dragon in 10 seconds to Ruddy Sack. That might be enough of a win condition in and of itself, even if that last play was a little bit scattered. I've seen a few of those moments over the last... this is now the 4th game in a row where it felt like Ruddy Sack have had some of those flaws. Basically this week, all things said and done. Feels like longer, but of course the games were only yesterday. We'll head on towards that Dragon. Soul point secured, and there's no contest from DMG. They wanted to trade for a turret, which is something, but it's not Soul point, and that's a risky thing to give up with no contest at all.
As you mentioned, Soul point, further than Ruddy Sack got last game before they started losing drags, and yeah, it kind of just puts pressure on DMG to have to contest this next one. I don't, yeah, they just win a team fight, but I don't think they're quite confident enough to really just full send it on a dragon play. Especially if something could come through, like a steal from Natty Nat with a Grand Starfall or something along those lines. It comes to teleport as well, though. This just about gonna conclude in time. Ooh, the barrier though, not... Potentially could have caught someone hopping out of that Shelly, right? The Vigar cage. Doesn't quite get it. Here comes Gethin on the flank though. Fancies it.
Bucci's at half HP here. Gator can do a lot of work here. Lands the undertow into the strike breaker combo. Begins to throw some reckless strikes. Does he want to dive? Can look to get some damage here. Won't quite do it. Bucci clears out the wave. Stuns under turret briefly. Only with a single turret shot, but that does mean a bit of space for Buddy to siege in on this tier 1. DMG are there and enough force to dissuade too much of a siege.
Gold is almost identical. 20 minutes into the game, there is not a lot to separate these two teams. And despite having some scaling elements on the side of DMG, I still got to favor where we're at with Ruddysack. 194 stacks now on the Vigar. Finished up his Rod of Ages, which is also stacking up. And if my eyes do not deceive me, that's going straight into that death cap second item too. Which is such a good item on Vigar. It's so disgusting as well. And to be honest, once he's got that, he doesn't really need any more damage. So he can start going into things like those Zhonya's and stuff that keeps him tanky and helps to keep him alive. Yeah, he's your one to keep your eye on his ping. He's going to be a very scary boy as this game continues.
He's been a bit of a revelation as well coming into the league. Had a great week 1. Couldn't quite convert yesterday in the way I think he was hoping for. But this Veigar's in a wonderful position. As you said, that death cap. Reminder, it amps the stacks you get. So the more stacks you get, the more AP you get from the death cap, amping it by, what is it, 30% increase on AP? So it's a very silly item on Veigar, as you were kind of alluding to. 2.5 minutes on Soul, and by that point, I would imagine we'll see this Veigar with that big held hat on his head. One of his favorite items of all time.
I was going to say, like, is Vigar... You know, he wears the hat. Is Rabadon's like Vigar's hat? Is that like, is it his hat?
Is it his master's hat? I don't, it feels like, well, he's not Rabadon, so clearly not, but he might own Rabadon's hat.
Yeah, or
maybe he's the current holder of it.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely suits him, at least. So, as far as we go, we've definitely got, the Fash is a big tick. We're sorted on that front. Rod of Ages I could see in his hand as well. So, yeah.
Or is that
I like
a void
it.
staff?
I like it so far. That's a good question. Well, it obviously can't go both anymore because you can't, unless you want to do all the staffs. You could do that. To be fair, that wouldn't be too terrible. That happened in that one scene in Lord of the Rings, right, where Saruman, like completely murks Gandalf in his tower and then nicks his staff and just like dual wields him and twists him into the air and yeets him into the stratosphere.
Yeah. So you have chosen death. Yeah. It's a great line. Great time. Good.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's written down, by the way, in the script. The way I just described it is word for word.
So yeah, that was really on point. In fact, I felt like Peter Jackson was here on the call with me.
Yeah. Well, what can I say, man?
I've not seen the two of you in the same room at the same time. So maybe you are Peter Jackson.
It could be, dude. It could be. We'll see. We're making a remake, Rings of Flowers.
Flowers? There's the blood petals. I knew it's a League of Legends crossover. That's what the blood petals are on the ground.
Sorted. Just as we finish this, it's the Rabadoodles. It's done. It's finished here for Vigar. How much AP does he have now? If Mr. Observer, whoever's on the case, can we see how much AP Vigar has? We know what his stacks are, but his total AP. I'm very curious to see. Oh, was that flash?
Bucci's got it.
It
was. And they're going to try to run it. Bucci is now thrown down the dominance, but it's kind of very deep. We'll just get eviscerated. The teleport now flying. In comes the rest of the squad of Ruddy Sack. They've already picked off one member. That's likely going to be Soul because Bucci's dead for 40 seconds.
That's it. 20 seconds now on this dragon. Does have the teleport available to him if we can buy some time for DMG, but I don't know how much time you can buy when you don't have things like the Weaver's Wall available. You have to find a pick, but I don't think Ruddy Sack are going to let you do that. They're just chilling here. Now it's time to move into the pit. Dandon might have to try something heroic on the steal, but I don't think the Ruddy Sack will let him get it for free.
They were all of them deceived. From secret, another bush was warded. Trying to find an angle on in here. Go down that control ward and spot out Gaithan on that flank. I was kind of alluding to Gaithan, though. Caught out within the baby cage. Not going to quite get put into timeout fully, though. Ult away, the Ragnar comes on in. But wait, they've got the Moonlight Vigil. Can't find the Moonshot after get the kill. They have kill of Nazi Nat, though. The jungler's gone. They did buy enough time. Bucci Bucci's about to TP back in. That's going to deny the soul. How, Ruddy Sack?
This is illegal right now for DMG. How are they getting away with it?
They had a 5v4 just turn on the dragon. Surely they play for the fight, lose it, and the dragon.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. It's perfect though for the DMG faithful. If that soul goes down, Ocean Soul as well, very crucial one. I don't know, man. You're in a tough spot, but they bought themselves some more time. Again, the goal lead is pretty close. I still feel, the scaling, it's not going to get any easier playing versus the Sack, but for now, some life breathed into the game of DMG.
We hold on for a moment or two here. Baron spawns with a big old grizzly yell. Maybe that's the Balrog in this version of Lord of the Rings. Feels kind of appropriate. Head on over towards the other side of the map. Atakan, not taken. Spotted that by the foresight alteration while spotting Gaithan roaming up the river. And look, DMG, you got a reprieve. Congratulations, you got a kill. You got the dragon, but it's not winning you the game. It's not putting you in a winning state. It's just denying Ruddy Sack a soul and a win condition of their own for another 5 minutes or so. Less so now, obviously, but they need to find something. A Baron, an Atakan, a big fight, or I think, as you said, it's just not getting any easier the next time around.
I'm so curious how much AP Ping has. It's got to be like 500-600, I reckon, already here at 25 minutes into the game.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah, you have to build some magic resist to not get one box by him. But the problem is he's the only AP threat. I hold this door. Here comes the fight.
Marlon doesn't find the best angle he was looking for. Grand Starfall comes on in, and Kamsky caught out in the cage, but dodged away from the Dark Matter. And that's a few big ultimates used there. Marlon, Nata, Natty, all using theirs to no real avail.
Bit of a whiff there from the Ruddy Sack. Didn't quite execute that one the way they wanted to. And yeah, like you say, a lot of big cooldowns used here. There are pings on Nash, by the way, from DMG.
They could do
that.
They're
starting it up. Yeah, they're going for it here. It's so fast as well.
Kamsky might die, and they're going to try and use that additional kill to find space. Kamsky will not buy that much time. Bucci's now job is to do that. The Weaver's Wall will deny entrance. It's going to go down. Surely we need to go up a little bit. We can't see what HP the Baron's on. No idea how low it is. Secured. Taken away. DMG with 4 men now going to back away with that Baron. Great Weaver's Wall will buy some space. Natty looking for an angle on in. We'll get the reset off as well. It's a heist of a century.
Wow, DMG, that was a cold-blooded call right there to steal that right from under the nose of Ruddy Sack. They knew with those ultimates being blown that Sack didn't have an easy way to get towards that pit. And with the likes of Vice, W passive, and obviously Aphelios with the right guns, boom, it just falls down. Now that is a sick call. And suddenly this game, which was slipping away from DMG, they secured that dragon, denied the soul, and got themselves the Nash. They're in a pretty hot spot.
Fatesky at 3 items now. His Varus yesterday was clinical. Had a corky game and a losing game, yes, but who felt like the only person able to match up in gold at the very least. And today, from a tricky position, it felt like in some ways on this Aphelios, is now in a position to really do some damage. Whether they can set up around this dragon. Minute and a half till that one, and Ruddy Sack really want that. What a standing goal to claim for DMG, though, as they'll send Bizguard down to claim that tier 1 in bot lane.
652 was the number on Vygar's AP right here at 28 minutes into the game. Not too bad. And yeah, there's no magic resist at all for DMG to deal with that, right? But it's tough for DMG. They can't really build MR because it's only good versus Vygar, right? You're not getting any other supplementary benefits from it. So yeah, paying is a problem. Definitely a problem. Looks like he is going in for that voice staff as well next. So we'll be dual wielding those staffs. And that's just preemptively as well. It's good to what I'm trying to say, preemptively build in the case of magic resist, but even those base stats as well. It's just, it's so grotesque.
You do hit a point where you do want void staff on most AP champions, even if they don't have MR, just because base MR is so annoying, and you just end up doing so much more damage because of it. Now in a great spot, as you said, 640 AP already. It's not getting any easier on that front. Dragon, 20 seconds, Ruddy Sack looking to push through mid. They've got Natty Nat and Marlon in the river already, trying to prevent any entrance from DMG. The last fight, not great from Ruddy. We need to see something better this time around from them.
Here comes that teleport from Bucci. Teleport as well from Gethin. The angle into the back line is going to be very important. And keep your eyes on Peng. He's hiding around the corner. He's caught someone.
Oh, Event Horizon into a bit of a chunk with a Baleful Strike in the Dark Matter. Only 20% of Bucci's HP bar, but it's a good start. Dragon started. Where are DMG? Look at Dandem towards the bottom side of this pit, looking to find a way in. Has Flash, has ult, has Q. Can look to get on in here. Flash on force, doesn't find the angle he's necessarily hoping for. Sees it assisted. They've got a stun, but the Event Horizon buys down Dandem. Shut down. Bucci buying the he's got from Gates, but does not care. The Ragnarok is indeed the end of days. Norse gods be damned. Double kill to the Olaf. They get Soul. And Ruddy Sack finally find the clean fight they have been denied for the last 5 minutes.
It was a disjointed engage from DMG. Dandem found the angle, but there was no follow-up. Getting going huge on the return engage there. Runs down Fateski, runs down Bizguard, and the fate of DMG may have just been sealed with the soul of the ocean.
All of that sustained now on a Sivir, on a Pantheon, on the Olaf, by the way, notorious for his sustain. Get the inhibitor back on out of that one. That is probably going to be the death. No, DMG, clutch Baron steal. Some nice moments, but have struggled to find themselves that win condition we were hoping for. Now in a much trickier position down that Soul.
There's ulti in 1 second here, as Gethin, so he should be able to just chill. Yeah, there we go. He's walking out that
much, no.
Nah, he's vibing. He's all good. I mean, okay, so this is it then. This is the solution for Ruddy Sack. Watch this man. Watch this top laner here. So firstly, Dandem goes in on to Peng. Kind of catches him, kind of not, but the rest of DMG can't collapse. Because look at Gethin. Look at him go. Fateski all alone. There's nothing we can do to help you here. Sorry, buddy. All the pill is crowd control, right? There's not a lot of shields or actual defensive tools for Fateski specifically. And when Olaf is Ragnarok and rolling, you can't CC him, you can't stop him. Fateski with no chance in that one. You've got to be very, very careful of where the Olaf is positioned, and DMG were not.
Head on over towards that Adakam. No real response from DMG. We're all on the top side of the map. They're giving this one up, and that's now going to be the Ruinous Atacam buff, empowering an Ocean Soul alongside all of these Blood Petals. We're already at 16 odd of them. This will be another 30 odd to go. That'll give them a lot of additional AD and AP from that Adaptive Force. It'll give them an extra half a level or so as well to really accelerate the lead they've just picked up on top of everything else.
It's all coming together right now for Ruddy Sack. I can't believe there's only a 1,000 gold lead. I mean, that number is deceptive. They are very much further ahead than just 1,000 gold, right? With Sivir, level 16, 4 items. Peng, level 16, 3 items. The Ocean Soul, the 300 stacks for Vigar as well. And we were wrong, it wasn't Staff, it was that Prick Bloom Flower. So that's okay, he's still only got 1 in his hand there. But that's, to be fair, I think it's also great because you get a lot of CDR from Prick Bloom. It's a different kind of thing, but similar. As the Sack are just going to look to start this one up on spawn, DMG will have to face check to deal with it, and they've opted not to. It's going to be a free Nash right now for the Ruddy Sack.
What's the plan, DMG? No contest over the last 2 major objectives. Cry. Yeah, maybe you're right, Foxy. Weep at the circumstances you find yourself in. Maybe another item on Fateski might be a break point. Maybe they'll play for the Elder and just try and weather this initial storm. 4 items on the Cephalius, 4.5 items on the Cephalius. When do you feel like you can pull the trigger? Because you've got to do it at some point, or this game is just going to be over with a whimper rather than anything resembling an attempt at a bang.
The thing is, like, Fateski, Aphelios, he's huge. He's so strong. But he cannot deal with an Olaf in his face. And the tools to get rid of Olaf just ain't going to cut it. Right? It's all crowd control from Leona, maybe a bit from Renekton, the shove from Talia. Olaf doesn't care. When he's got his ultimate on, there is no stopping Olaf from getting Fateski unless you can kill him. The only CC in this game for him is death. And he's not going to find it with the rest of Ruddy Sack on the map as well.
Well, at least that would be lore appropriate for Olaf, hunting for death and never finding it. Certainly giving it out in a fairly heavy measure. Inhibitor in mid lane will fall to that Olaf. A meat cleaver or two thrown as well. They get the inhibitor top side. Reset. Teleport available for Gathering. Can go buy an item and rejoin in short order. Event Horizon down. Flash on forward! And just one-shots him! Primordial Burst! Speaking of bangs, it's the bloody Big Bang! The birth for Universe! At the end of the game! Magnet Storm into the Event Horizon! That crocodile is extinct! Kamsky brought down with an undertow, dragged under, and Ruddy Sack win an all-important game. DMG now looking at Nord and sweating a little.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sweating a little as well, thinking about this potential, you know, every team beating everyone again already. Listen, that game was just crazy. It was crazy. I can't believe the sack coming from that relatively anemic game versus Nord really pulled it out in that one. There were a few hiccups still, however, right? Like losing that Nash, the fight around the soul point, or the actual soul, sorry, around Dragon initially was... It weren't it, but they found a way to continue, and I just want to give huge props to getting in that game, because I was critical. I was critical of the way he piloted the Fiora. Wasn't a fan of that. Didn't like it when I saw it first time around. Ruddy Sack played Nord either in the first week, but that time around on the Olaf, he was critical. He was really, really solid in those team fights, especially. Yeah, huge props to him for that game.
Well, you heard the words there from Foxtrot. A lot of props up to the top laner coming back in that mid game to be so valuable alongside the rest of the Ruddy Sack. They win that game. I'm sorry, Jamada. The hate watch was unsuccessful this time around.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Jamada. Sorry. Something just happened to my camera.
Just gone.
Yeah. Too stunned to speak after this game, but honestly, can you blame me? Because Ruddy Sack are still delivering what they did in their previous game. A lot of chaos onto the Summoner's Rift, but this time with a different result, because they are finally taking the game, which means actually sad news for us, because it means they will not be playing Los Ratones once we get into the playoffs. But let's talk about how we got here in the first place. Troubling Jamada, what was this game?
An improvement on Ruddy Sack's end. We'll start there, because we will have DMG to talk about a little bit more later on tonight. But to just really sum things up, a massive jump of the level of discipline, I think has to be said, in the plays that Ruddy Sack were making around the map. They were very, very tempered and took their time with deciding whether or not they wanted to actually make plays, because they had the time to take that time and centered their play predominantly around those objectives.
I'm a little disappointed in how DMG absolutely dismantled Ruddy Sack yesterday, and I feel like a lot of the pieces that they chose today as well were sort of very surrounding that Aphelios, trying to keep him safe. And then I feel like they did the same mistake they did yesterday versus Nord, and it's like suddenly there's a random Vi thrown into the mix. And again, it's not hate towards the champion, it doesn't necessarily do anything for that Aphelios, and I think we're going to see this in the fight in this particular one. Dandom, of course, is trying to find an angle on a carry, but your composition is built to front to back to protect Aphelios. Once Fateski tries to get forward to try and assist Dandom on that carry that he found on the backline, he is absolutely deleted by the Olaf, and it's just the fate of the Aphelios, right? He needs the team to play around him, to have that front to back, and it's just the synergy with the Vi didn't work. And it's not like they used the Vi Talia combo in the early game to shut down the Veigar. It just looked, they took it slow, and it's just, Vi doesn't like to take it slow. Man, Rel has more damage again. Enough said.
I mean, look, we can hate on Vi as much as you want. I think that the actual root of the issue is the Aphelios existing, right? Like, how do you play as the Aphelios without a composition actually built around you, right? And I think that's kind of this is it. This is actually, I'm answering about that. This is what you get when you have an Aphelios that's not built around you, or a team that's not built around the Aphelios. And Ruddy Sack were able to abuse that basically off cooldown whenever they actually were able to get in front of the objective at almost every 5v5.
Listen, As much as I'm sad for GMG in this game, I am happy for Radisak because finally they have a victory and it feels like after the previous game they really needed this one. But how about we don't just stay here and being happy, we share this happiness with the guys themselves because we have Wolverine, the assistant coach for Radisak, joining us in for the interview. Hello and welcome to the broadcast, Wolverine. Tell me please, this victory after losing the first game to not today, what was the big difference for the team between game number 1 and game number 2?
I think big thing for yesterday and today is kind of just getting a feel for playing official. We feel strong like as a team, but it's not exactly showing right now. But I think we played better today, and obviously like second game it came through.
We have seen the improvement from Radisak, especially with this new roster that we're still kind of exploring here. But tell me, please, from your perspective, from a little bit of an inside but as well as outside perspective, because you're not the one actually playing on the Rift, how do you see the team growing throughout these 2 weeks that we've already had on the NLC? And what do you foresee for your team going further into the split?
I mean, I think we're better players than almost anybody. So once we just find our groove, I think top 3 team like easily, and I think it should be pretty simple. We've got playoffs coming up, so we'll have time to fully prep.
So top 3 team, you say? I am assuming Los Ratones is going to be one of those top 3 as well. Who else are you putting there with you?
I couldn't say. I haven't watched any of Group A yet, so who knows? But
so that's going to be a secret, or that's going to be something that we're going to find out from you next time you're the interview. But tell me, please, looking at Group B, because that so far has been best of 1s. We are now going into the territory of best of 3s and best of 5s. How different do you think the current roster of Radisak is going to play in the best of and with the Fearless Draft?
I think Fearless Draft is an advantage. I think when you have stronger players, draft getting deeper is definitely helpful.
So you don't foresee any issues with the champion pools for any of the players?
No, for sure not. I think we've already shown some picks. I think we've probably shown more depth already than most teams. But I think we have, even more. I think Fearless Draft will be really strong for us.
Okay, I like how it sounds. That's very promising. Okay, last question from me, and that's going to be a hard one. I'm sorry to do that to you, but week number 2, Radisak coming in with such a high performance on week number 1, and then things not exactly working out for you. What do you think was not clicking for the team, and how did you fix that? Because today we're seeing a really good play from Radisak.
I think start of second week we were just overthinking a lot of things. Maybe just not being fully ready to play, but good lesson for us. Seeding is kind of just practice matches anyways, trying to figure out how we want to play officials. So I think it was good to better to have this happen in seeding than in playoffs.
I love your point of view on this one, Wolverine. Thank you so much for joining us for the interview today. Best of luck to your team, and take some rest, because that is it for you for the tiebreakers for today.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thank you. That was Radisak for us today, playing versus DMG, and DMG have one more game ahead of them, going versus Nord, who just had a whole game to relax, to rethink their strategy, and hopefully for them to secure another victory, or maybe not. We'll see about that, but before we go into this, we will jump into a very short break.
It's that constant thing. I think a lot of people out there can probably relate to this. It's that thing.
And welcome back to Arozzi NLC. The tiebreaker day is almost over, but we still have one very delightful game left for us for a dessert. Nord versus DMG. And it's so interesting because we just had these two exact teams playing against each other yesterday, and now they're facing each other again. Trouble, Jamada, how did it go last time, and what do we expect from them today?
Haha, well, last time, if you saw what happened in the previous game, where it was a pretty much front-to-back type of composition and then a sudden Vi appeared, this is exactly what DMG did versus Nord. But Nord read that level 1 so well, they invaded Dandom super early, and then through lanes of priority, because they were on the red side, Jankos kept consecutively invading every single damn camp. I remember Dandom literally, whenever he was seeing Nord members in like side lanes, he would just enter enemy jungle to take whatever camp he can find. It was so miserable.
We don't want a repeat of that. In the slightest, if you're a DMG fan. I mean, look, as well, even if we're going off today's momentum, DMG just lost to Ruddy Sack. Nord going to be riding the momentum a little bit, right? It has to be said, of the win from earlier on. And I think, again, looking towards DMG as the kind of underdog in this particular matchup. Simplicity, I think, is always gonna be king. I'll always ride that wave of, look, especially when you're coming off a loss and you've got like back-to-back best of ones like this on a day like this. Don't overcomplicate things in the draft, right? We saw last game Fateski wasn't able to basically participate, despite technically having the most damage on the team. Almost. I think it was Renekton just slightly edging him out. You need to be able to set up your carries for success. Fateski so far has been a very, very big deal. Getting Bizguard on a champion where he feels like he can be involved also an additionally very, very big deal. Otherwise, I feel like you run into games like we just saw where you're going to have the enemy team run circles around you on the map, and then when the objectives show up, you're going to be behind in gold and get outplayed.
Now, my question is going to be not to DMG, actually, but to Nord. Trouble, what do you think Nord should be doing this time? Because we saw them finding a really good strategy versus DMG, and we saw them taking the game number 1 today, but Nord is still having those shakier games. What should they go for this time?
I feel like it's of mandatory importance to get mid lane prio. I think, again, Zver has done an incredible job at subbing in, and I feel like Jankos has felt more free to make plays around the map. And I feel like this is the golden duo right there. Inax and Nash have been having some pretty good laning phase as well, but getting Zver unlocked on the map, I'm not quite sure if they're blue or red side. However, on red side, you've got more chance, again, to counterpick that mid lane. However, Talia, I feel like, will have to be either banned out, or DMC is going to have to figure out a way to keep Zvero down on that pick, because he has been unbearable to deal with.
We have the confirmation that not going to be on the blue side,
there you go.
So yeah.
That was what I was going to say. I mean, we could even end up in a situation where it's not like Talia's a bad B1 pick either, right?
Yeah.
Like, if Nord identified this as a potential strong point, they could go as far as that extreme to first pick it. If they don't, I would honestly love to see DMG deny it away as a pick. I think it's maybe not something I would necessarily want to see Bizguard on again, like in comparison to his other champions, where I feel like he's had stronger performances. But if it's to take it away from Zvyra, and then maybe, we get a slightly better pairing that isn't the Vi to appease Trouble's, problem with the champ, maybe we end up in a slightly happier place, something like a Viego or a Xin Zhao, right? To kind of just enable slightly stronger skirmishing. And I feel like, actually, just to very quickly touch on Dandom a bit more, it feels like there's always a lot more positive things to talk about when he's on champions where he can get involved early, right? Vi obviously can do that, but I'm talking about the actual skirmishes, a Pantheon, a Xin Zhao, things like that, to really kind of throw a spanner in the works of the early game. Nord did a good job of stabilizing a very game earlier. If you feel like, I don't feel like you're going to be able to take it to them if you make the game be a very slow-paced scenario. So I think trying to make it chaotic again, but really trying to crank it up to 11, I think could be one of the key things to disrupt this Nord lineup coming into this final game of the day.
And just a reminder right here, as we're heading into our last draft of the day, and this will be the last, because even if DMG wins here and everyone is 1-1-1-1-1-1, the shortest game time will determine how the tiebreaker has come to a conclusion. So unfortunately, I made the suggestion, tiebreakers for tiebreakers. Wasn't quite the case. It wasn't accepted. I tried my best.
Yeah, unfortunately. But so far, to be honest, it seems like the teams have kind of forgotten this rule because the games have been long and we'll see how long this game is going to last. But let's see what the draft is going to bring to us with Nord yet again on the blue side, banning out Jace and Lilia, and Poppy versus Vizicsacsi. This time we're not making the mistake of giving Poppy to the Vizicsacsi. And Rumble as well, something a huge amount I wanted to see banned against them previous time.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised to not see the Rumble picked up at all. There's the Varus towards Fatesky. Again, things like the Jace and the Gwen, both up and available. And the Fury as well has gone untouched throughout the day.
Gwen.
There's the Gwen, so will we go towards the Jace for Nord? I feel like it's not something they really want to rely on. I'm really curious about how highly they prioritize that Talia, but it's going to be Skarner B1, which makes me worried because you see Skarner on the opposite side and then you think, you know what, Vi looks pretty good here.
Oh no!
Then it gets locked in for Dandom. I'm not gonna. It's the blue side and red side curse.
Oh, this sounds very dangerous. But yes, yes, I hate it that you read it, Shimada. But yes, absolutely, they decided to give Vi to Dandom yet again.
I mean, Talia would be awesome. But I just think it's not going to be Talia, and they're probably going to lean on Fatesky's champion pool earlier on. I mean, they could go towards Rel super early if they feel like they want to hold on to, or take that specific pick away from, the Skarner specifically, because then that really adds up and piles up.
Yes! Yes!
Early Kai'Sa, okay. So, obviously, Trouble, explain. Why are you happy about the Kai'Sa early?
Okay. DMG have shifted the momentum. Fatesky was playing primarily auto attack, hyper carries. However, right here, you have the chance to go Kraken Slayer Kai'Sa and dive with Dandom into the backline. This is a full-time composition. However, picking the Kai'Sa that early on, you're running into the risk of going straight into a Misfortune and a Jhin lane or a Quirky lane that Kai'Sa really, really struggles into. However, you can see that the identity of DMG's composition is shown in the first two picks, and I'm expecting a lot more diving champions to come through for their side.
Do we want more dive from the rest of DMG, or do we want the support for Vi and Kai'Sa?
They've unfortunately fallen into the trap of R1ing Vi, so they kind of have to. Otherwise, we get games like we saw last time out. There's the Talia. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think to no one's surprise here that one's getting locked in. And he'll get his second game of the day on it. I mean, DMG, I feel like, there's plenty of dive options available. I assume they're going to match this with support. But,
she's good into Talia and she dives. Now, does she run into a Skarner and a Rel? Sure. Who cares though? Still good into the matchup.
Yeah, true. Not true. DMG, not true. I think, just have the very, very easy option here to just ban out two ADs, right? I think something like the Ezreal probably is the first one on their mind. Yes, Kai'Sa has a good one-to-one matchup, but when you're playing Vi and when you're playing Leona, I imagine that's got to be on your radar. They will at the very least ban out Corki early on, though, just because early lane matchup might not be the most friendly, whereas Nord on the opposite end, just probably going to pinch out Bisgard's champion pool here. Something like the Galio is something that rises in priority, I feel like, to ban in my mind. The global presence to match the Talia, and then, of course, just the skirmishing power of that and the Vi is just very, very potent. Nord not going to let that one go through.
DMG are playing into Inax, so banning out Israel here would make a lot of sense because we have seen Inax pivoting heavily into this champion, but actually no, that's not what DMG have in mind. They're not afraid. They want to remove Misfortune.
I like this way more. Vi and Kai'Sa are incredible into Ezreal. Vi is known for her point and click, I'll follow you wherever you arcane shift to the ends of the earth, and Kai'Sa can instantly join that as well. So I do worry more about what I talked about earlier, the Misfortune and the Corki, which are going to be huge problems for Kai'Sa early on in the lane. And there is still the Jhin that managed to shove really fast. But if you do pivot towards a Jhin, you do run into the risk of potentially not having enough damage to kill champions like the Leona, or potentially a tank that might come through from Bucci on the top side of the map. Oh my god, talk about cool. Dive. It's him and his daughter. It's family lore.
Oh yeah.
It's a family reunion.
And they do something slightly more boring.
Purple, but close enough.
Yeah, I mean,
If it's
it
purple, it
has to be
works.
said, just for a moment, like, Cassidy would have been cool, but
Yes.
I think just needing a little bit more mid lane agency, which is why you see the Syndra, and of course, you kind of, your range is kind of just about matched with Celia. You get to stop the Skarner going forward as well with the E. There's the Ambessa, so a little bit of added backline threat for whenever they are able to find it, and DMG just got to route things out to Renekton to immediately match it, so nothing super surprising in the top side of the map, and it does give DMG a potential avenue to play through early. Very well-rounded damage diving composition out of DMG if they want to go that way, and for Nord, again, it's very similar to their other composition earlier on in the day, where they're very much able to kind of play forward, play backwards. It's really about how the fights are actually starting and what the setup looks like going into objectives.
And
No,
very
no,
happy to also
yes.
see like a proper Vi composition right here, because it's not just about the diving bodies or if you have anyone to dive with, it's also about priority when you have Vi. And Renekton, Syndra, Kai'Sa into Ezreal, these kind of champions can actually force priority for Vi as well to play a lot more aggressive. Vi plus Syndra, tale as old as time. It used to be Rek'Sai with Syndra, now it's Vi. Very strong with jungle duo as well. So at least this time around, I feel like Dandom will have more freedom to press his R, find his flanks, find the target, and have the follow-up from his team.
So we have Nord still sticking to something that they know works for them. We have Yandas on his Skarner, we have the bot that we have seen already so many times from Enax and Nash, while DMG, while some of the champions are familiar, finally they're trying out new things, and that is very exciting to see how they're going to pilot them in this game right now, because this is an important game for them. They already lost the previous one. They would love to have a victory to make us all calculate the time, the length of the games for today, because the fastest game is going to decide if we have the 1-1 for each of the teams today. But Trouble Inc., Jamada, looking into the draft, can you tell me please, who do you think is going to win?
I'm gonna go Nord. I feel like their draft is just a touch easier to play into what DMG have.
Okay, Trouble.
I'm gonna take a leap here. I'm gonna say DMG. I love their dive, and if it's successful, I think they can very successfully delete at least one member in a team fight.
Well, we have the desk having their decisions now. Castus, what do you think about how this game is going to look like? Initialize Foxdrop, take it away.
With pleasure, Solari. Hello, everyone. We're onto the Rift straight away here. So we have no need to wait around. Foxy, two very different kinds of draft in some ways. You've got a little bit more pick from DMG with that Vi Syndra kind of combo. On the other side, got some of that too, don't get me wrong, with that Talia and that Ambessa, but with the Ezreal, with the Skarner, feels like you can play back a little bit. You can play for some of that more AoE if you want to as well.
Yeah, definitely. I echo a lot of Trouble sentiments from the desk of really liking this dive kind of composition and the way the lanes are set up as well for DMG. I think it's great. I love the fact that you've got, even in your ADC, right, with Kai'Sa, a champion that can dive forwards. I think that's beautiful. It's really good stuff. The question will be on execution, right? Because I feel like the likes of Ezreal can keep himself relatively safe, even though Assault and Battery does follow him around. But we even saw in Nord versus Radisak, Natty Nat on the Skarner was using his Skarner and the ulti on Skarner to disengage a lot of dive and a lot of engage. I think this is actually quite an underrated champion to deal with that. So I'm so pumped to see how this one's going to go down, because I think dive comps are some of the most fun to watch in League, and DMG have drafted very much so a dive comp.
They very much have, and there's only one way that goes, and that is forwards, and that does always lead to some of those spectacular team fights we all love to watch and get involved with. And as a play-by-play caster, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty happy with that. Pharaoh, once again, on this on this Talia early on, hunting for poor old Dandom on the Vi, who is level 2 again, but won't find him on a buff this time around. Thank goodness for Dandom.
Yeah, a lot of pingers coming through on the map here. It looks as though Dandom's gonna finish his top side clear and then go, bot side clear and then go for a bot lane gank. I think that is on the cards right now, while Dandom is still only level 2, so can't actually go for a play right now. Might be looking for one after this blue buff is dead. You can see these pings coming through in that tri-bush from Nord side as well, so they kind of have a feeling this might be going down. But with a Leona engaged, this could be something that Vi might be able to get a look for, but actually just not going to bother with that at all, it seems. Potentially just going for the walls instead.
They were. back away on that one. And the game, pretty quiet early on. No crazy invades this time around, as we said. Sphero, we're looking. Didn't quite find it. And him, though. Potential lane gank should they find anyone there, but no Skarn to be seen. Bot side, though, hang on. I say it's a quiet moment, but bot lane, there's a kill onto Fateski. What happened there?
Nah, that's illegal. No, illegal. I hear sirens. It's not just Jamada's mic picking it up this time. You cannot die.
Oh, thank goodness. Someone's finally taking him away.
An Ezreal in lane. Nah, bro, that can't happen. I mean, they just hit level 3. I mean, that's a div. It's level 3 gap right there. Bizguard flashing towards the safety of his jungler too. Nord already starting off this game. A lot of pressure, a lot of high octane gameplay. DMG on the back foot right from the get-go.
Oh, Fateski. He had a decent Aphelios game. We'll have another look at this because clearly there was some violence. It's a crash down.
It's just a level 3 ding, right? As soon as Nash and Inax hit level 3, they jump in. And then DMG weren't expecting that. Calmsea Crucially was still in level 2 in that play too. So just level gap on that one.
And the other thing I've got to call out is Fateski buried early. And so the Shattering Strike on Rel, remember, breaks shields. So that barrier did nothing. Absolutely nothing. So got a lot of value there, did Nash. Completely invalidate the summoner spell and allowed a nice kill to come on over. That gnawed up pretty well here in this early game. Chachi having a dash away here. Has got a lot of those inbuilt, courtesy of the Drake concept. Papucci still wanting to try this one out. Has got Conqueror. And turnaround now coming on in as a drive-by from Jankos. It's all been a ruse. There is that cunning swipe. Lacerating, sorry, sundering slap. Goes wide though.
Uchi finding himself with, biting off a little bit more than he can chew. Does lose his flash, but if this is the cost of his flash, if Jankos has gone topside, he's still here as well. Dano can get Dragon, this might just be worth it, but Bucci has no teleport. This could be disastrous if he dies here.
Jankos gonna flash on forwards, gets done, but has to take a turret aggro. And so the W's down, there is no more CC. Jankos will take another turret shot, cannot take any more.
Level
Chachi
6!
can't get it.
He just
He's level 6, he's got Dominus! It's all gone so very wrong. Other side though, Sphero does at least get one back. But what on earth has happened?
Dude, that is a very botched dive right there from Nord. DMG are going to be very happy with that one. God, they even got the Dragon on the bot side as well. That was meant to... I can't even verbalize just how bad this is for Nord. This is just a face check in mid lane. Yeah, nothing you can do about this one, unfortunately, for Bizguard. His teammate's on Dragon, so he thinks he's safe. That's why he did that, but unfortunately, he was not. But, yeah, man, Nord was meant to sack bot side to get something top and really put Bucci out of the game, right? He has no teleport, 2 waves crashing under turret. He would have been done, though. He'd be out of the game.
Yeah.
That is so good for DMG.
They needed it. It keeps the gold within touching distance. Yes, dropping the kill there in mid lane means it's not just that kill. But you go 1 for 1 and get the Dragon and kind of burn a load of summoners. You're very happy as Bucci there. The only gold leader in the game right now for DMG is the rest of the lanes looking a little bit rough. Jankos does go and pick up those grubs. A little bit late on the start of that one, but it's still picked up in decent order. Danzum, though, going to try and trade onto the Raptors while that's happening. Jankos actually also going for a counter invade, and so it's going to be a camp stolen that's not traded back as Fateski once again dived on. Will just die to the Rel. Full tilt and a Shattering Strike, more than enough to bring down this Kai'Sa again. The Iron Horsewoman out for blood today.
She's doing very well in this. Unfortunately for Nord, that is 2 kills onto Nash. I can't think of a champion less wanting kills than someone like Rel.
Early lock-in. Just saying. Into Syndra, into Kai'Sa. There's the value. I see it.
Yeah, okay. No, you know what? You're not wrong. She will be tanky, but she's never going to deal any damage, and no one ever wants to focus a Rel. But yeah, it's tough here. It's tough here for DMG's bot side. Great start for Inax and for Nash, and you can see why Inax was highlighted early in the day by the desk. He had a great week 2. His performances on Ezreal specifically were phenomenal, and here again, off to a great start on his signature Ezreal.
A pretty good spot here, that's for sure. Got the Sheen. I was going to call it the Teen, which is combining Tier and Sheen into one word that I don't think would be good for League of Legends. Look mid lane as Bizguard has a flash, misses the Scout of the Week, will flash. well. I wonder whether he'd hold on to it, but can't do so, and so it's now at 10% HP. Kamski's around, but so is Nash, so rough old time to be in the mid lane. Danton coming on over, as is Fateski. So suddenly, a lot of DMG members around, and Nash needs to be very wary. Walking too deep here. Gonna get jumped on. Might need to mount up. Does try to find a moment, and the unleashed power helps Kamski secure the kill.
And nothing up here as far as cooldowns for Jankos to turn that one around with his ulti, as Dandon may just find Zyru too.
Flash on in, and then suddenly chaos is occurring again. The scout of the week comes on through and helps guys to pick that one up. The seismic shove, not enough. And suddenly DMG right back on the board in terms of kill the head in gold. Reminder, if DMG win this one, we get a tied 1-1-1. And it's all decided by game win time. Makes the win on this game quite important with that in mind. Still a lot of game to play. Our first two games went pretty long, Foxy, so that can make this one quite interesting indeed.
Yeah, Nord's victory against the Psych was a 40-minute burner.
It was, yeah, it was a big one.
So that actually doesn't work in their favor at all. That's troubling. But absolute cinema in this third game of the day, and our last game of the day here as well between Nord and DMG. The funny thing is, like, I feel like this game shouldn't really explode until the mid game, right? When we really start grouping up for objectives, when lane phase is becoming less defined. But it didn't want to wait till that long. It wanted to get going right from the start. And we've had some real action starting here. 38 seconds on this dragon. Might just get some more too.
Maybe 30 seconds on that front. As you kind of noted. Wonder if we're going to see much of a contest. You see a fair number of players around that bot side. Inak shoves out the wave. Jankos picks up the red buff and will look to push out this bot side wave before fighting their way into river. Vizgard looking to find a scout of the weak target, but has to retreat in the face of Nash.
Ooh. Bucci not taking a great trade there. Teleport advantage though for DMG. And Nord have to respect that. Vizichachi just TP topside in his last reset. So if this fight explodes and it turns into a big old melee, a big old scuffle, Bucci can join. But Bucci's popped Dominus topside. I don't think he'll be TPing down bot anytime soon. This is just going to be a 4v4.
Chachi's burned his ult as well, so you've lost both the perfect execution and that Dominus. But then we're going to see a bit of a chunk come on forwards. And just charging up that Vault Breaker. Won't try to go crack any safes this time around, though, and they'll start up the Dragon.
I don't think Nord are going to get this one, let this one go for free. Inax is above. Yeah, we're all collapsing here. TP still available, but no Dominus. Here it comes.
Dragon secured in the end with the smite fight. Jankos dies as well. DMG come out on top of that one as the TP did get pulled.
Yeah, it's a bad TP though at the end of the day. It wasn't necessary. And look what Vizichachi is able to do top side of the map. Gonna get 2 plates here. Probably can still stick onto the second wave. Okay, it's gonna be Syndra TP to cover instead. We're getting a collapse on the top. Bucci is done though. He's got his flash, no ulti.
Surprise, he had the Eclipse. The shielding is not bad actually with that Cold Meat, but Sphero staying nice distance away. Tries to go on forward, but slices across the unraveled air, trips over himself, and falls to his doom. All the while though, DMG will pick up at least the second set of grubs. And that's pretty good news. It gets them that objective feat of strength. Not the full feats, of course, but a good step towards it. Denies the full 6 over from Nord as well.
That means this first blood turret is going to be crucial here. Both these teams. It's the only way now to secure this feat of strength. It's all that's left for either one of them. And I'm not quite sure when we think about what lane might be seeing a lot of action here. Obviously, top side got a little bit of chip damage onto it. DMG's turret's a little bit weak there, but bot side as well.
I'm worried about that one. There's no TPs and no one's moving until just now. Yeah. That's... I mean, he's going to back away now, but that was like 3 plates in pretty short order by Sphero.
Yeah, and a lot of minions lost as well for DMG. That's a good 4 or 5 waves potentially. Maybe that's exaggeration. At least 3, potentially 4.
A lot.
Just going to the turret. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing there. That is, oof. Yeah, DMG, you don't want to be losing that free gold.
He's to about 1,000 gold lead now between the mid laners. All because Bucci died down there and that wave gets dropped and Syndra ends up having to go to respond, but a little later on the lane assignment's really hurting DMG there. Exactly miles behind in the gold, but nominally enough to make a difference, particularly in some of those key roles, as we said. Top lane, Bucci at least still holding on to a slight lead versus this Ambessa, but now with her own Eclipse complete, doesn't care too much.
500 gold between these two teams at 13 minutes. As the lane phase is about to dissipate somewhat soon, you would imagine. Still waiting for these teams to really crack open and butt heads with each other. They have the aggressive tools to make it happen. Jankos has found Bisgard potentially, but that scatter keep him safe for now as Calm's got. Ooh, there's the ulti.
Scout of the week into the Zenith Blade, leaves that Skarner just to find 3 people. It took me a second to figure that one out. Spacey now in danger. The killer instinct comes on forwards. Pulled back by the mount-up flash. And so Kaiser falls apart. Karmsky now in danger. The sky is not calm in the slightest. Flash! Public execution of Bisgard. Needed to have his guard a little higher up. 3 kills to visit Chachi.
Triple kill for Chachi. Covered by the teleport in mid lane as well. Bucci, we mentioned his teleport advantage earlier in that dragon play. He used it, doesn't have it available for this one, and it is Chachi, the beneficiary. That is the first turret as well, the feat of strength over to Nord. As we mentioned it, these aggressive tools, we were waiting for these teams to explode. 14 minutes in, and it's happened.
Well, there you have it. Suddenly there is leads wherever you care to look except down that bot side, but at least Fatesky got a little bit of something. Problem is, now down 3,000 gold, you're now down those feats of strength. This next dragon fight would be sole point for DMG, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be an easy one, considering some of the discrepancies that are starting to build up.
Absolutely. This is now really turning in Nord's favor, and considering the type of composition that DMG have drafted here, the dive composition, the all-in dogpile composition, it's really good when playing from ahead and really naff when playing from behind, unless you can find people out of position, right? Like, you can turn on a dime. If someone's even just an inch out of position, you can pick them up, all collapse, boom, they're done before the rest of the team can collapse. So it's gonna have to come down to that execution, right, off those dives. Meanwhile, top side, holy moly, there's a lot of members here for Bucci.
Damage goes on down. Bucci will throw down the Dominus, stays alive for a second, but the Impaler's then a dragon right back out. Get over here, says Scorpion. From another game series, and they find the damage they need, and the tier 2 shortly after.
Oh, here comes the teleport flank. DMG want to answer this. Is that Bisgard?
There goes Danta with the Vault Breaker. It's Bisgard, double scout of the week. Weaver's Wall to try and split him off, but the unleashed power and a crash down over the wall leaves Bisgard in danger, but Facekeep begins to follow with the killer to the zone. How long does Dandem have on that Q? Tries to get more damage down. It's not looking great. The cease and desist in the backside. Dandem dies for it, but keeps the fight going. We'll get on Pharaoh. And suddenly DMG get a triple kill onto Fateski.
What is going on this game? Bisgard with some happy feet in that play and 3 kills over tier ADC. Absolutely. Yes, please. And it was Chachi who could have joined this fight because he had no TP from the play before. It's just numbers game this one around, isn't it? Bucci survives a long time here, a really long time. Even when he's grabbed back, his Cold and Meek again keeps him up for a little longer. And it buys time for DMG to get back into this one. And once Bisgard has shoved his wave, his TP on the flank, I thought was going to be a little bit skeptical. But look at his happy feet. Look at how he moves around and dodges almost all the skill shots. Coming up more as well. This Inax ulti is going to tear through the entire team, but it's not enough. And here we go. Keep an eye. He's got blinking elf bars, and nope, dodges that. Oop, dodges that one as well. It's not going to be enough to bring him down. All good stuff here for DMG.
Can't go and claim soul point though. Jankos is over there early enough. Instead, DMG, so look, we'd rather get this Herald and look to play for some more of these turrets and some lane control. We didn't have the setup down there anyway. Bucci under threat as a number of Nord members are here, looking to threaten this tier 2. Magnus over to crash down to the public execution of Bucci. In danger, try to heal on up. Will not be able to do it. Turret shots well managed. Solar flare down. Karmsky in danger. Inax tries to get jumped on, but a well-interrupted Zenith Blade prevents easy ingress. Fatesky doesn't quite have the ult up and available. Nash and Inax desperately low. But the turret stands even if Bucci falls.
What an interrupt by Nash there on the Zenith Blade from Leona. Keeps Inax alive. Just ticking down from that ignite. Not enough to bring him out of it. 2-0 and 5 now, finishing up that mana immune. Still quite a ways to go, to be honest, for it to turn into the Mura mana. But he's well on his way to being that big threat on that Ez. And I said at the beginning of the game, we said at the beginning of the day, Inax on this Ezreal yesterday was so good. Both those games, absolutely crazy stuff. His stats were gross. Like, we were discussing in the pre-show, like before the show went live, like, yo, which game should we highlight? Oh, we've got a single game to highlight here. Is it going to be the one where it's 950 DPM? Or do we highlight both of them? And his DPM went up. His DPM went up after we added more sample size.
That's wild.
From like almost 1k DPM. Like, it was crazy. This man just has so... Yeah. He's a talented dude. And he's making it happen so far here in this game too.
See whether they can keep that up. Those numbers will matter here in a very important game. Do DMG escape fourth? The Nord secure second? Or are we going to have that additional tiebreaker for our tiebreakers, but this time decided by game time? Pharaoh, substitute, back on that Taliyah. Has been so good on this champion. The response times, the angles on him with the Weaver's Wall has been so potent. Jankos was praising him on the interview yesterday, saying, look, on these utility champions, on these mobile roaming champions, has been so valuable for the team, considering he's had to step in on very short notice. Leandri's now completed. There's the second item.
He's been quality. He's been absolutely quality in that mid lane. We were singing his praises from yesterday too, and in that first game, and in this one on the Taliyah.
It's a lot to praise.
Very good stuff. There is a lot to praise. And with his itemization as well, there's a lot's going to have to be done to bring him down in these fights. You know, got that shield, got a little bit of health as well from his items. And considering he's against a dive comp, I think it's pretty smart, right? If you're glass cannon, you will just get... Yeah, it's too tasty. It's far too tasty for DMG to go for a target like that. But this is making it a little bit more tricky to find those kills.
Definitely is at the minute. Ourselves, about 2.5 minutes until the next dragon. So really, right now, the only thing to play for, unless someone wants to play something very aggressive around Atakan, is these structures. The tier 1 in mid lane would be a juicy win for Nord. DMG just don't have the wave clear here, really, or at least safe enough wave clear to get rid of them. So the turret falls.
Not too much left on the map right now to try and contest. Obviously, Atakan has spawned. We are 20 minutes into the game. And we're posturing around the top side of the map for that. But I think crucially, yeah, you just want to protect your flanks from the engage from DMG as they are 5 members strong. Here comes the fight.
Impale comes on down, will buy some time. Magnus Storm after, but Bucci in a tricky position. He's right back in. Chachi given free reign on the other side, trying to get onto Fateski. Will keep him out of the fight. Bucci now down to 10% HP as they've already lost Kamski, trying to use the Herald to run away! But he can't get far enough away to escape the public execution. The long arm of Ambassador's Law ensures that the Crocodile is put 6 feet under. Chachi's at least traded back, but it is still a 2-for-1 in favor of Nord.
Ill-advised fight there for DMG. Vi was chunked heavily. Wasn't there for the initial engage. Kind of overforced, to be honest. And I was scared when I saw Chachi on that flank, as you mentioned there, Initialize, in that fight. I thought he was going to have free reign and go absolutely crazy. Look at this TP flank on the right-hand side from Chachi. Vi is on the top-hand side of your screen. Half HP, not involved in this whatsoever. It was kind of scary start. Not a good fight for DMG to take. Honestly, as soon as they engaged, they knew they shouldn't have been there. It was smart to use the Herald to get out of it. At least gets the trade back as well. So not as terrible as it could have been for DMG, but still a definite no bueno fight right there.
They've at least got this Kai'Sa 6 kills now. In a really good spot this game. They have to try and play their way around. Fateski's often been the shining light when games have gone wrong for DMG. It's looking like it might have just done that. Jankos, single man on to Kamski, but there's nowhere to run, no flash, no hope. A solar flare buys some time. They can't quite kill him. But Inax, with an arcade shift forward, secures the start of the kill. Bucci hit with the public execution. It is seismic shot back straight after. And it's a double for Inax. They get rid of the jungle, the support and the top lane, a courtesy of Jankos starting that up on the jungle. Got a second until Hextech Dragon spawns. Atakan is up. Nord with their pick of the objective starts.
Nord just do not care. They just do not care. They see hero, kill hero. it's a toughie right now for DMG when you're the composition that wants to dive forward. You're the ones that want to jump in and be aggressive. And you're getting jumped in on. And speaking of, Nash.
To be a bit wary, cease and desist after leaves the rel out to dry. And the unleashed power secures the kill onto the Iron Horsewoman. Taken out for the count. So I guess
I mean,
actually,
it wasn't a
her
great
title's
play,
Iron
but-
Maiden. I got it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, it wasn't the best play, but it's a bit harsh calling
No.
Iron for it, you know, like. Either way. Chachi, another one in trouble. Here comes the second Iron player of the game.
Oh, that's a rough call, but unfortunately looking a bit tricky as Chachi does have to flash away here. Fateski, no
ulti.
killer instinct available anymore. The Solar Flare lands, and that means that Chachi rooted on up and goes down to Fateski. Nice moment.
Alrighty, this is more of what we were expecting from DMG's composition, especially
hang
in a
on.
scenario where you're not that far. Yeah, when you're playing from behind, you have to find these picks. They lost Dragon for it. Won't be able to go onto this Atakan though. That is way too much. As we're getting a proper follow up here. Nash has taken the portal. This might just be Nord's time to go for it now if they can get those awkward back timers. Look at the ult from Talia. He's going deep. Oh my goodness, Nord. They're greedy boys.
They really are, aren't they? And they decided not to go for the Atakan, tried to reset, but reset at the pit where Nord were coming over in a panic to check it out. Won't really start that up though, don't feel comfortable enough to do so. The game continues to roll on forwards. Nord 2k up, got 2 of those Hextech Dragons, and despite Chachi getting picked off there in a potentially critical moment, it's not going to lead to anything for DMG, which is a bit of a sucker for them.
Oh, Nash, is he caught again? Deja vu.
Been in this place
Shouldn't
before?
What bang. Yeah, nah, that's it. He's not gonna go down here. He's just gonna be chilling. Fortunately for him. DMG able to just get themselves a little bit of gold in their pockets from those picks. Like you say, nothing too much to pick up, which is unfortunate, but they'll be happy with a bit of a reprieve here. Just able to get some 300 golds. I mean, look at Faceky, dude. He's huge. 7 and 3 items. And very well equipped to deal with the chunky frontline that is Jankos.
He is. Jankos. Gonna need to reset. Got himself a Randuin's now, which will really help into this Kaiser in particular, who's nowhere near anything like penetration items. Going towards a defensive item 4 after those Flicker Blades. So a lot of cooldown, a lot of crit. The Atakan now started, and Skada just left. He's got Hex Gates to get back here, but that Kaiser's going to shred through this real fast.
Off HP.
Oh my days. Can Jankos get in here? Has a flash, needs to start driving. Could get in range, not quite. And that's the Ruinous Atakan, but the fight afterwards might be Nord's to take. Scout of the Week lands onto Jankos. The Magnetstorm comes on through, it's only onto 1, but it's a critical member of Fateski. Pump the execution lands, but he still gets to flash away. Jankos tries Kamski back into the rest of his team, but is that the target you really wanted? Nash trying to trade up with the rest of the squad as Chachi. Drakehound steps forward, a good Mystic shot onto Kamski, as Bucci in the middle of 5, tries to escape. Inact Arcade shifts forwards, gets another reset. Of course, got Shojin now, so those cooldowns nearly non-existent. They keep looking for a Weaver's Wall, but can't find anybody in good range. And DMG get the Atakan, but not the Blood Petals, really.
No, and this Nash now is on the menu for Nord. These blinking health bars and the resets for DMG means they're not going to be here in time. Maybe they can take the gate, but I don't think it's going to change anything. Nord will pick this one up. They will trade the Atakan. They'll get a kill, and they'll get the big purple worm.
George is in disbelief in our production chat. Nash started Nash. Oh, wow. There's that combo you've been molding over all day, Foxy.
It's a difficult life out here for us casters. What can I say? Keep your eyes on Bucci in the back line here. He's trying to find his way in, but he is endlessly zoned. You've already picked up Atakan, right? Yeah, you can't get the flowers, which sucks. But you just got to get out of here if you're DMG. But Bucci completely sprints it here. He dashes straight over the unraveled earth. Gets shoved back. Insta dies. Definitely not the one. Certainly not a play we want to see on our screens. And yeah, I mean, honestly, okay, if that was a different Atakan, if that was the Ruinous Atakan, or the Voracious, whatever the different one is.
Voracious one, yeah.
Okay, then yeah, good. Good stuff from DMG. Cool, we're chilling. But since it was the Flowers Atakan, that was not good at all, right? They couldn't pick up the flowers, and they lost members, and they lost back. So, good return from Nord on that one.
Well, Nord will certainly be giving DMG their flowers for this game. I suspect 15 kills to 10. 5,000 odd gold up, a Baron to their name, and now DMG in a very precarious position. Mid lane tier 2 under siege. Vero onto the tier 3 as our reservists show us. TP behind, looking for the flank angle. It's Bucci with the dominance rocking and rolling, looking for an angle. Tomsky trying to jump onto Nash, who will likely die and does so. Dandem, chained up by Visit Chachi though, doing a lot of damage onto that by blast off for the public execution. And Inax gets to at least a solar flare land, but it's a little too late. Inax, the force of 1,000 suns to work with as Fate Ski meets his own fate at the hands of a giant monstrous scorpion. It's the wrong kind of D&D match. This one is it's a TPK for DMG.
1 member down, 2 member down. It's not going to be enough for DMG to hold on to this game. Bizguard is being hunted like a dog in the jungle. And he is the last man standing to defend. It's all Donzo here. Nord pick up the win and secure themselves a 2nd place in Group B.
Commiserations then over to DMG. Some decent fights, some decent looks, but on the whole, really struggling to find those win conditions today and languish at a 0-2 score, finding themselves in 4th place and ruining what could have been, I think, Foxy.
Yeah. Just wasn't... They weren't on the same page today at all. I liked some of their comps in the sense of... It's kind of simple to execute, but at the same time, the calls for fights specifically just weren't there. They weren't there today. It was a bit of an off day for them, and commiserations to them, but credit to Nord, they played very well in both their games.
Nord, despite getting the substitute, find themselves at 2nd. It leaves Ruddy in 3rd, DMG in 4th, and the desk to take it away from there.
Thank you very much, Fox, for initialize. What a game and what a chain of events in the very end of it. And Nord, by taking this victory, are securing themselves place number 2 in Group B, and 100% are evading meeting Los Ratones in the first game of the playoffs today, while DMG are finding themselves in the 4th spot. But Trouble, Jamada, before we go any further, let's look back at this game, and let's actually start with DMG, because that was a very different draft and then a very different game from DMG.
Yeah.
Yep. You know.
Okay.
Look, I think like the flavors, you know, end result kind of the similar-ish. It's the spices.
Yeah.
The spices a little bit different, you know. I think taking some learnings from that first game, understanding that they kind of want to keep things like the Vi, like the simple engage, but actually kind of enabling, you know, I beg your pardon, Fateski in this game a little bit more to have more access to targets, right? Via just existing on the Kaiser. A much better flavor. But unfortunately, Bizguard on the Syndra just kind of victim a lot of the time, unable to find, you know, a lot of what you would kind of want out of Syndra, being able to pop these backline targets, not able to achieve that on a frequent basis.
Yeah, and I feel like they just didn't leverage the mid-jungle duo that they so well drafted for. The Syndra plus the Vi. You can pin down Talia, actually punish Vero for stepping up. And I feel like that was a worry coming into this game. Vero has played 4 games of Talia at this point, and he looks so damn dominant. And it feels like you're either going to have an answer to that Talia in the mid lane, or you're just going to have to straight out ban it out. And you know, it's not like you're going to have many more chances, because most likely Zvero's not going to be there because he was subbing in for Norway this time around, right? However, you have lost your chance for a higher seeding right here. And DMG, a much more well-rounded composition, and even though it looks easy on paper, quote unquote, everyone presses R at the same time, everyone dives in, you gotta make the right calls, you have to find the right targets, and Nord just didn't give them that selection.
They did not, and Nord, on the other hand, were finding the right targets, right, Jamada?
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple playing Skarner and Rel and kind of just doing your thing, right? And the range of this DMG composition is so short that they're able to find so much efficiency very frequently, whilst kind of just, again, setting up for Inax to be able to throw in these mystic shots for Zvyro to find those seismic shoves and just kind of prevent DMG from moving forward time and time again.
Trouble.
Oh, no.
Another one. What a banger.
It's do you know what the hilarious trend is, that it always seems to be Vi and it's always Rel somewhere, usually on the opposite team. Somehow
Listen,
just
you can take Leona.
scraping out
Dude,
more damage.
Just take Leona. It's fine. Just take Leona. Same thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I I get it. I just feel like the Vi's that we've seen lately have not played up to the level of efficacy that we would like to see, right? I don't think this is necessarily a Vi thing. I think this is people are picking Vi early and then, not just sprinting towards mid lane to murder the immobile mid laner off cooldown. But alas, the curse remains for the time being, with Vi's not dealing more damage than the real support in the game.
What also continues in the meantime is not taking victories, and what also continues, a very nice tradition that we have since yesterday, is Jankos joining us for the interviews here at the NLC. Hello, Jankos. Finally, I have a chance to talk to you and tell you that I'm a very big fan, by the way. But zapraszam. Hello, Jankos. Welcome. Tell me, please, first of all, thank you very much for making us work on Friday, as you promised yesterday. But you were really looking forward towards today, towards the tiebreakers, towards the chaos, and towards having the rematch against Radisak and against DMG. Did it go according to how you imagined it would go?
I don't think so, because I was inting. I didn't think I just played the best Gwen game and the best Skarner game, and I feel like in the Gwen game I did some damage, but I had a lot of questionable decisions in the early game that led to my team being behind, or rather maybe even, but we scaled better, right? So we didn't have to take a lot of fights that we took, but because I was not practiced on the champion, I didn't play it well. Not even like mechanically, that's like whatever, but sure as well, but also like decision-based game. So I think the Rudy sack have been cleaner, but it was still really nice to, get them back for the last week, I believe, that we played against them. And then against DMG was a bit better. I mega cleared to visit Satsi in the top. Wait, did you guys watch the top dive?
Yes.
Oh, that sucks. Well, then everybody knows what happened, right? It was a little bit of a almost 30-year-old fingers. So it is what it is. But I'm glad that we got those 2 wins and that we could play better than last week. And big shout out to Zvira as well for stepping in and helping us out on such a short notice.
That's something I wanted to ask you about, Jankos, because you and Zvira have such a long history of playing together. How does it feel to be reunited?
I like Zviro. He's like pretty funny and he's very chill. We didn't have much success in Heretics, right? Because we didn't really make like top 4 or top 6. We kind of just, we made playoffs every time with Zviro, but we didn't really go like far. So it's not like we did great, but I think Zviro is a very good player. And you could definitely see it, right? That like he was performing so well. I think he gapped every mid lane that he played against the last 3 games or 4 games. I think 4 games it was.
So, Jankos, now that you're securing the second place in Group B, you're going into the playoffs, into the territory of best of 3s, best of 5s. Who are you looking forward to playing versus from Group A, or maybe some rematches from Group B?
I think the big one is going to be Los Ratones. I don't know when we play them. I think in like 2 weeks or so, if we both win our matches, which I think we should. I think that's going to be a very tough one because I think this is a very strong team, right? But playing them is also going to show us where we are at right now and how much we need to possibly catch up or maybe be able to beat them. And we are going to be playing these games with Noe as our main mid lane is going to be back, right? So we had 3 different mid laners in the last like 2 weeks and we didn't have many scrims. So I hope that we can actually like play better when we get to play against these guys, because I think these guys are, by far the strongest. And then in case we drop down to lower bracket, or in case we can have some rematches, then again, Rudesag is going to be a banger. I think BO3, BO5 is going to be way more fun than BO1. So I'm looking forward to facing Rudesag again. That's going to be very nice. Because I saw I will dominate being a dick when we were losing last week to them. So good job, man. Nice game.
That was already very personal before, but now you just made it even more personal. God, I love you so much. You know what? After that, I have no more further questions to you. Thank you very much for joining us for the interview today, and good luck in the playoffs, man.
Thank you so much, and have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You know what?
Yeah.
Incredible answer. If Jankos, or rather if Nord, and subsequently obviously Jankos and Ruddy managed to make top 3 and both go to Copenhagen, I think Dom and Jankos need to have some kind of forfeit for whoever loses that second place match.
Wait, Dom has to fly over, first of all.
Oh, true. Dom would have to fly over. I mean, to be fair, for an event like he might do it if he's got the time. Well, maybe. He's also a busy
and if he
guy,
doesn't,
right?
he should make time. So
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
exactly,
absolutely.
Right? Part owner of the team. come on, get your stuff together. But imagine make Dom Jankos gets to shave Dom's head, or Dom gets to shave Jankos's head. I mean, he's already shaved his eyebrows, right? So he's willing to sacrifice his body for the cause.
Reshave them.
This is a gold mine for content, honestly. But okay, let's look back at all the craziness that we had throughout the day. Let's look at the result of today. Nord were playing versus Radisak in game number 1 and took the victory out of them. Then Radisak took a victory of their own against DMG, and then at this last game of today, Nord won versus DMG, which means that we are not having any tiebreakers on top of tiebreakers, and we finally have the final standings for Group B sitting stage with Bulldog Esports sitting in the first place. Then we have Nord, the Radisak, DMG Esports, and Linguist Lightside still sitting on this last place. Now, did we expect this day to go as it did?
The day? No. Overall standings as it played out today? Yes. We expected Nord to be at the top. DMG, again, the developmental stage that we talked about. We didn't necessarily expect too high highs from them, even though it did show some good qualities yesterday. However, I feel like this is what we thought was going to happen week 1. And it kind of went 180, and now suddenly, some normalcy. It's back.
Imagine normalcy in NLC.
Yeah, Kappa. I think we have the bracket ready. I want to say maybe we're still loading.
Yes.
Oh, we are. Fantastic. Brackets here. DMG going 0-2 today means they have the fate of paying the LR tax in the playoffs. And a lot of the matchups look really, really interesting, right? Especially things like Bulldog Chaos. Chaos had a very explosive come into this split, so I'm really curious about how they're going to handle Bulldog, Venom Crest, and Nord. Looks like it's probably also going to be a little bit of a weird banger, and then of course Radisak Verdun on that final slot. A little bit of technically an NLC derby in many ways, though the orgs look very, very different these days.
I'm actually very excited for the Verdun versus Radisak on the 17th of April. I feel like Verdun left a lot to be desired playing versus Los Ratones, and we did say that they were the second best team in that group. So I wonder now, not in that group setting, how do they fare up in a best of scenario versus another very great team that had a good showing?
Now, as of next week, we'll be finally starting the playoffs. We'll be going into the territory of best of 3s and best of 5s. This will be the beginning of the journey that will take us all the way to the finals that are going to happen in the end of May, 31st of May. Here you go, and 1st of June. The NLC finals will take you all the way to Copenhagen, of all places. I have never been there. I'm very excited to go there for the first time in my life. But this is going to be League's Disrupt, not just NLC finals, not just some League of Legends action. We are going to have some live music there at the venue, some meet and greets with your favorite streamers and players, and so much more. So make sure you scan this QR code on your screens right now and get yourself some tickets, and we can't wait to see you all there. But before that happens, we still will need to go through those playoffs. We have some really exciting matchups to look forward to. Trouble, Jamada, this was a very interesting tiebreaker day today, but I want to hear some final thoughts from you. How did it go, and what are you looking forward to now?
The Radisak Hate Watch was still successful. Despite going 1-1, they lost to Nord, and that's enough for me. You know, I'll take that as a win. Yeah, I mean, just another very, very entertaining day of NLC action. And I know playoffs is just going to continue to deliver next week.
I feel like when we talk about the NLC, we always try to find the one that will rival Los Ratones for as long as they're with us, and see Nord sort of have that comeback reignites that fire of somebody potentially being able to take it up to the Rats going into playoffs. So excited to see if any of them can take a second game off of Los Ratones, because they only lost one last split.
So we'll have to find out and see whether Los Ratones are going to lose more games in the NLC, or whether they will remain the almost unkillable kings of this league. But that is going to be it for us for today and for the sitting stage. Next week, the big fun begins with the playoffs. We'll see all of you there. But for now, this will be it from us. Troubling Jamada, thank you very much for joining me on the desk today. And we will see you next week. Same place, same time. See you there.